balls are red, baseballs are white, American footballs are brown, and tennis balls are yellow. We don't even think about it really, but the story behind the tennis ball is actually quite interesting and even involves Sir David Attenborough. I know. Well, here's the tale. Tennis is widely known to be a French sport. It dates back to the 12th century when people used handmade balls, and it was then called tennis, which is the verb to hold in French. And people used some pretty wacky material to make the balls with: cork, wool, chalk, animal fur, and even human hair. A few centuries on, Germany got dead into the tennis too, but wanted to make a few modifications to the ball to make it a bit more effective. Around this time, an American chemist had just created something called vulcanized rubber. Out of that, people started developing air-filled rubber balls, which were properly bouncy, but either red or grey in colour. These were manufactured in Melton Mowbray. That's right, the home of the pork pie. One problem: the balls kept on breaking on impact with the racket. The call of "new balls please" seemingly coming over every other point. Step forward English lawyer and tennis enthusiast John Moyer Heathcote, who suggested balls be covered in flannel to stop them from degrading. And thus the modern-day tennis ball was born. But these were white or black, so how did they become yellow? Well, in 1967, the controller of BBC Two, one Sir David Attenborough, decided the corporation should show Wimbledon on colour TV. He got his wish, and it was wide into people's homes across the country. The only sticking point: the white balls were nearly impossible to see on the screen. So the International Tennis Federation, sensing an opportunity, started developing a new ball that would be visible even without the need for 4K LED displays. Not that anyone had that in the late 60s. After rigorous testing, they came up with the colour optic yellow and decided every ball be coated in that colour from there on in. And there you have it. Tennis balls are yellow, all because Sir David Attenborough wanted to watch Wimbledon from the comfort of his own front room. You could say the ITF aced it.
Yes, this is Paul Hawksbee and Andy Townsend with you through until 4 here on talkSPORT. There this afternoon, an ex-Brighton manager, Roberto De Zerbi, of course now at Marseille, goes viral after a training ground bust-up. Andy dusts off a few of the tear-ups he's witnessed over the years. We'll talk Liverpool's Rio and Gamoa, another great performance by him last night, and what it takes for talented kids to train on. Plus, we'll have the latest on Isak, Sesko and all the others on the transfer merry-go-round. The former Arsenal keeper and coach, Graham Stack, pops in and tells us why he's enticing footballers to take up boxing. England bowler Tymal Mills reveals what he plans to do on OnlyFans, and it's not what you think. And F1 expert James Allen on what's going on with Lewis at Ferrari. Plus, we'll ask for your votes for the July Clips of the Month, and Andy explains why Sean Connery kept him up to the early hours. Which it's a good story. It is 5 minutes past 1. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Andy. Lovely to see you.
Thank you, Paul. Good afternoon, mate. Yes, I've enjoyed. I did drive with. I beg your pardon. Did breakfast with Jeff on Monday. So you today, back on breakfast tomorrow. So the overnights are obviously beckoning. It's the only one I ain't done this week.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll get the shout for that. But no, mate, pleasure to be here as ever.
We've known each other for well over 20 years, but Andy, I don't think we've ever done a show together.
No, I don't think we have. No,
after all these years.
I've done a couple with Charlie.
Yeah.
When you've been away and Andy hasn't been in, but no, so great, mate. Really, I mean, look. Like everybody out there listening now, mate, your voice is synonymous with this channel, and it's lovely to be here with you.
Yeah, it's lovely. We've got loads to talk about today. I mean, Alex has sort of set the scene there. It's been a bit of a mad old summer, transfer-wise, but a lot of the deals we expected to get done have not got done, have they, really? I mean, there's talk about Ezra today and Gay. I mean, at the moment, it looks like they could be still at Palace next year unless people pay the money that Palace want. But, I mean, we've had this stuff with Šeško and Isak and everything else. It's been a bit nuts, hasn't it?
It has. And I think it often takes a little flurry of activity and then all of a sudden things can genuinely start to drop into place a little more. Jack Grealish, what's going to happen with Jack? Where's he going to end up? Is it Spurs now? There's been talk last couple of days that maybe since James Maddison's unfortunate injury that Jack might be able to fill that void for Tottenham. It will intensify, Paul, as we know, as we start to get towards the end of this month.
Yeah.
Look, we're still in pre-season mode, and when the games start, if there's only got to take a couple of injuries in those first couple of matches to key players, and all of a sudden people will be scrambling around again to try and get something done. So there will be a lot more activity, and I don't think it will all be loans. I do think there'll be some significant ones, and that just might spark a little bit more of a frantic sort of action in the market.
Yeah, we're going to have a chat a bit more about Isak and how Newcastle should play it. But I did mention at the top there, Andy, that Sean Connery had kept you up last night.
Yes.
So it's a kind of universal question that we'll put to the listeners. But tell us, you've been staying at a hotel as you're doing some shows this week.
Staying at the hotel and, 100 channels or whatever, and then all of a sudden I come across The Hunt for Red October.
Okay, nice.
Which I've seen probably about 5 times, where Sean Connery plays the part of this Russian kind of U-boat captain.
Yeah.
And he's got the worst Russian accent ever, by the way. Vasily, 3 degrees to the left. It's like that, his Russian accent. And,
like probably the way that Oleg Kuznetsov used to sound, I would imagine.
Exactly.
A few years at Rangers.
So and of course, I've seen the film, Paul, 6 times.
Yeah.
And why, oh why, I'm watching it and I'm thinking I'll switch over, and I ended up watching the lot.
Yeah.
Right. And I was just thinking to myself,
I need to go to bed.
Me? Exactly.
Yeah.
Is it only me, or does everybody with a particular film or certain old films?
Yeah.
If it comes on again, you just can't tear yourself away from it.
Well, I've got 2, and it's always the same situation, and the listeners can share theirs today. And it's the first Godfather,
right? Brilliant.
And Jaws.
Right.
And they're just 2 films. Often they'll come on at 10:30 at night. I'm just about to go to bed.
Exactly.
And I think, okay, I'll just watch to the end of the wedding, and then I'll go to bed. Okay, well, I've invested. I'll just wait till Sonny gets to the turnpike. Then, then Fredo. And then, next thing you know, and up come the credits. So
it's so true.
And you've been there for 2.5, nearly 3 hours.
Correct.
Just when you think you're out, it pulls you back in again. That's the sort of film we're looking for, and that's a pretty good one as well, the third one. Yeah. So if you've got any examples of that, what are the ones where you said, and Jaws is the same thing, you think, well, I'll just watch until that bit, I'll watch it, and then the next thing you know...
Like the different from The Great Escape that we watch religiously every Christmas, you know, when it turns up. I again always
not a Christmas film. I mean, but it feels like it.
Doesn't it? It does. Not a Christmas film.
When I think of Christmas, I think of Steve McQueen on a motorbike.
Yeah, exactly. It's true. But again, that one has kind of just got something about it at Christmas that you sit and watch it, and had done for so many years. But some of these other films, I don't know why it is. You watch it, you know what's happening, you know what's coming, you almost can remember the lines to the film, and yet you somehow have to suffer the lot of it before you switch over.
Well, do let us know then. What are the ones that you say, okay, I'll just watch until that point, and then I'm going to turn it off. I'm definitely going to bed. 03717223344, talksport.com, text to 81089, tweet to TS H&J, and get in touch this afternoon. You can get in touch on anything we're discussing. We've got a lot of football and F1, and we've got guests popping in to see us. Tom Mills is he's in the 100 tomorrow, playing his first game. But he's also going on OnlyFans.
No,
Now, we saw this. I thought, he's, still in good nick. he had a few pictures on Instagram of him, like his beach body. He's looking in good nick. I thought, okay, well, don't knock it till you try it.
Right.
But no, OnlyFans has a life beyond our expectations, it seems. And Time Al's going to tell us a bit more about it. And we'll talk a bit of cricket, reflect on that test match. Talking of which, at the game on Sunday, there was a young girl holding up a sign which said, "Harry Brook, can I have your bat?" Yeah. And I thought, we've had boots and we've had socks and we've had shirts. Can I have your shirt? Can I have this? But can I have your bat?
I might need that just for a little bit longer. Yeah. But no, and you can listen. It's a great poster, that, Paul.
Yeah,
brilliant. And it is. And I'm sure Harry someone would have pointed it out to him, wouldn't they?
She probably did end up getting the bat, didn't she?
Yeah.
But it just struck me. And what else can they possibly ask for? If you've seen any of these other signs,
wouldn't want the box, would you? Really? That's not really. Didn't really want that.
No. That wouldn't be great. I wouldn't think so. So let us know. talkSPORT.com. What else? I'm not a massive fan of it. I was asking, have you given away stuff in the crowd?
Do you know?
Although in your day, you would have had to pay for the shirt.
Yeah, the kit men used to go mad if you
throw a shirt into the crowd.
There's think about giving any of the kit away. You'd get rollicking. You couldn't do it. You wouldn't even dream of doing it, Paul.
Yeah.
But I've given so much stuff away over the years. So
you haven't kept much of your stuff?
No, I haven't. Not really, because again, there's been many deserving charities and causes that have needed a bit of help over the years, and you always do that. And I've not. It seems very much now that a lot of the guys, like international shirts, when you swap shirts, etc., that they keep them all, Paul, individually in frames and stuff like that. No, that's not really...
Not your thing.
No.
You don't have like one of those revolving busts like the thing they have in M&S.
Yeah.
Where they put the clothes...
I've seen some of them. They're
like little museums,
They
aren't
they? They're incredible. But no, mate, I've not gone down...
Is there one you regret getting rid of? Was there one coveted shirt or something you swapped or you did?
Yes. One we had nicked at the airport after the World Cup in 1990.
Yeah.
So I think I swapped with Roberto Donadoni after that game. And when we, obviously then the following day, we're flying back to Dublin. And when we got our bags arrived in Dublin, there was all of our shirts that were inside had all gone. They'd all got nicked. But they'd got pinched actually in Italy by baggage handlers there, which was a bit of a schoolboy error, really, leaving the shirts in a bag, just sending it in to go on the plane. So that was a bit of a shame. But no, mate, look, I've had some, Frank Rijkaard's shirt and those sort of things, and got, had some nice ones over the years. Beppe Signori, I think I swapped with him after 1994.
But you've not kept any of you've kind of
not really kept much of it. No, not really, because again, I've got a few bits that I've kept.
Yeah.
And I've got some nice sort of pictures, look, kind of that are a little bit different, if you like, photos that catch you in different times and just something that looks a little bit more natural rather than like a mugshot and a team photo. Haven't got many of them left, I don't think.
We're getting a lot of these films in, Andy, already. Let's have a look what we got here. Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, says Dean the Forest fan. Probably because I look like an Oompa Loompa. Don't be so hard on yourself, for goodness sake. Films I've seen 100 times, always on the plane on holes. Dam Busters, 633
Squadron. Dam Busters, good film.
He says chicks away. I think he means chocks away.
Yeah.
That's Baddo sent us that one. I do the same thing with Roadhouse, the Patrick Swayze film. Stayed up till 2 a.m. watching it. Probably the worst film I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Spartacus every Christmas. Wouldn't mind, but it's 5 hours. I'm not sure it is quite 5 hours, Hayden. Shawshank's come up a few times, of course, the ones... There's... who's this one from? Hot Fuzz for me. I think I know the script better than Simon Pegg.
Yeah.
But I still can't help myself. I always watch the whole thing and laugh the way through it.
Paul, was it Spartacus that apparently there was like a car going in the background or something with a camera on the back end of it? Like in the corner, like one of those freeze frame moments or something. I'll
look out for that. I'll look out for the car.
Yeah, well, there's something in one of those sort of incredible old films set, centuries ago.
Yeah.
and there's someone driving past in the background in a car.
There is an infamous story of one of Kirk Douglas's sons,
Right.
Obviously, not the one we all know and love, but one of Kirk Douglas's sons trying stand-up.
Okay.
And people were not listening to him in this club in LA.
Right.
And he kind of lost it in the end. And he said, this is apocryphal, I guess, I don't know, but
No.
he did say, be quiet, you know I'm Kirk Douglas's son. And there was
Right.
this silence, and some bloke stood up and said, no, I'm Kirk Douglas's son. Somebody else, no, I'm Kirk. I mean, yeah, and he
imagine?
walked off.
Yeah.
He walked off in a state of shame. I don't know if that's true or not.
Brilliant.
Anyway, back to the football. We're going to look at what it takes for youngsters to train on. We're seeing a pretty exceptional talent, it would seem, at Liverpool. One of the eyewitnesses from last night, we'll be hearing from them very shortly. Rio Ngomoa, he was at Chelsea.
Yeah.
And was there for 6 years. And Liverpool nipped in. That is always a bit of a danger. Kids are that age, till you get them signed on the dotted line. It's
quite ruthless at that
Yeah.
sort of at that moment. There's that little window that can happen where a kid can have been at a club for a number of years, and then right at that sort of pivotal moment.
Yeah.
And there's always been that talk over the years of contracts in draws for some of these kids. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? That they automatically come into play.
But you are,
at a
don't know
certain
which
age.
senior are you?
You're vulnerable.
Yeah, you're very vulnerable at that point
are.
until they sign. And Gomara is some player. He scored last night, got an assist. We'll be hearing, say, from our eyewitness. Tom Almill is going to join us and talk about why he's on OnlyFans, look ahead to the 100 and reflect on that amazing test series. And we'll talk Alexander Isak as well. And the latest from our own Alex Crook suggesting that if they get Sesko, they will let Isak go. So we'll chat about that, all manner of other stuff. Graham Stack popping in to see us, former Arsenal keeper and coach, and lots more besides. It's Paul Hawksbee and Andy Townsend on talkSPORT with Toolstation. This summer, shop Toolstation's award-winning Hawksmoor lawnmower range in-store, on the app and online. Next stop, Toolstation.
youngster Rio Ngamua, who arrived from Chelsea about 18 months ago and became Liverpool's youngest ever player last season, has scored the opening goal, and it's an absolute perler. He picks the ball up in the Athletic Club half of the field. He drives forward, shifts it onto his right foot, and then curls it into the bottom corner in front of the Kop from about 22 yards out. And then, as if that's not enough, he's got an assist to his name as well.
Yeah, it was some performance by Ngamua last night. I was doing a little bit of background reading on him, and as Matt was saying there, he was at Chelsea, as we said, for a good number of years, developed through Chelsea, and then never really had got the chance. Obviously felt that he could have a better chance at Liverpool. And so there was apparently a little bit of bad blood between Liverpool and Chelsea. They were really sorry to see him go.
Do you think that is a sort of pointing a finger at the way that perhaps Chelsea have been with some of their younger players, particularly in recent seasons, in terms of not necessarily not looking after them, I don't mean that, but using them in lots of ways to balance books, etc., and not necessarily giving them perhaps the opportunities that he feels he might have had out of the
it's
clubs.
that old phrase again, isn't it? Pathway, feeling like he's going to have a chance. And I suppose if you go and have a conversation with Liverpool and they make the sort of noises and they've backed it up, they're giving him some game time, albeit pre-season, but he played well last week in the other friendly. Really looks a prospect. Yeah,
I admire any young players, Paul, that move on in search for regular football.
Yeah.
Now, Ngamoa's got a long way to go before he's going to get that at Liverpool, of course, particularly if he's walks through the door in a couple of weeks' time or whatever. But it's going to be a while before he's getting regular football. But I do admire young lads that are desperate to play.
Yeah.
There was a spell, I think, going back perhaps 10 years, I felt there was a period where younger players were literally happy to pick up a few quid and not that bothered about whether they played or whether they don't. You get to, or you retire, and then when you're looking back on your career, it's all about those games you had, the amount of games you had, the amount of game time, those highs, lows, a few memories. And you've got to do everything you can whilst you can to make sure that you've got some when you finish, rather than too many, I feel, not so much now. Again, I think there's a breed of younger player right now that have got the bit between their teeth and that are desperate to play. But I think there was a spell 10 years ago where too many were entering this phase where there was a lot of money in football and they were happy just picking up a few quid.
I think we can hear a little bit more about Ngamoa. As we said, Matt Jones was at the game last night. He joined Jeff Sterling and Alan Pardew this morning to talk about that performance against Athletic Bilbao.
He was absolutely electric, the lad that you're talking about. Ngamoa signed from Chelsea about a year ago, made his debut against Accrington in the FA Cup in January. 16, and he just lit the show up. The goal that he scored within 2 minutes, only his second appearance at Anfield, picks the ball up inside his own half of the field, runs half the length of the field, and then curls it into the bottom corner from 2 yards outside the area. And then, as if that's not enough, 2-3 minutes later, he's teeing up Darwin Núñez to make it 2-0 in front of the Kop end. Incredible. He just had their right back on toast through the afternoon. Real box of tricks, confident, loved the step over the drop of the shoulder, had pace about him, direct, a lot of fun to watch. And 16 years old, not necessarily expect him to play a major part in the Liverpool side over the next 12, 24 months, but they certainly know they've got an exciting prospect on their hands now. Big moment for Arne Slot as well to see whether he could handle that Anfield atmosphere. I know it's not the same. It's not a Premier League fixture, but it's still a huge occasion for him. It was a full house at Anfield yesterday, so he's turning out in front of 55, 60,000 people to try and show what he can do. And he took that pressure on well. I say it's not the same as a Premier League game, but it's not too far off. It's the biggest crowd he'll have played in front of it in terms of a Liverpool crowd like that. And he rose to it. So, maybe we'll see him in the Premier League.
That was Matt Jones, who was watching those two friendlies, those back-to-back double headers. Quite rare, really. Two different teams playing Athletic Bilbao to get the game time in. I mean, it is an opportunity to try kids. I mean, how much can we talked a lot about Max Dallman at Arsenal, who was only 15, and how well he coped sort of physically and how good he looked in their games overseas. But I mean, how much can you tell from a pre-season friendly?
I don't think you should make too many or form too many opinions about exactly what you see in a pre-season friendly. But I look, clearly, I saw his goal yesterday. I didn't watch the whole game. I saw his goal. And as Matt said there, very confident, brilliant finish. Clearly looks a really exciting prospect. I think the fascination and the intrigue is how Arne Slot is going to utilise him, when he's going to utilise him throughout the season. There'll be moments when he's probably feeling like he's not making progress as a young player. You'll go through that, and then he'll have, out of the blue, he'll get the shout, and he'll be told that you're in and you're playing, and that you've got to do this, got to do that, and then it's your opportunity to pick it up from there. Fun enough, we were speaking just a bit before we come on air about young players from my era, when I was at Southampton, Shearer and Letitia, Matty and Big Al, both were training with the reserves as it was then, or even the youth team, and got that one and the curly finger. Over you come. You're training now with the big boys. And
you learn a lot about them, I suppose, how well they cope once they come into first team training.
And you can tell instantly, Paul, believe you me. We could certainly tell, everybody could tell that Matty was blessed with a very natural, brilliant ability.
Yeah.
And Al was at 16, 17, he was already physically strong enough to handle anything that was going to happen training with the first team, and that, he had a genuine hunger and appetite for goals and would put his head in where most people wouldn't want to. Yeah. So you could tell with those two within a few training sessions in a week that these two are decent.
Do you ever see him sent? I'll tell you very quickly. Do you ever see him sent back? There probably are some who step up. And
there's some that often come over and then that are sent back. Bless him, old Brian Small. When I was at Villa, Brian was so quick at left back. Big Ron used to, whenever we played Man United and it was Kanchelskis, Smalley used to get that. Over you come, son, because he's up against a flying machine at the weekend. Yeah, and then more often than not, he'd find himself back out the team. It's just the way it was. But lots of situations with those young lads, and you can tell. And I'm sure the Liverpool boys will be constantly reassuring him and telling him, look how good it is. You want to let those young guys, Paul. You want to let them be spontaneous.
Yeah, sure.
You want to let them feel like they can go, particularly the forward players, of course. You want to let them feel like they can go and do what they do best. The defensive boys coming in at a very young age, slightly different for them. They've got to be a little bit more disciplined and they've got to keep their heads down a bit more.
We got a little bit of breaking transfer news. We're going to have a fuller chat later on with Ben Jacobs, but he joins us now. Hiya, Ben.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. So this is, I'm sure Newcastle fans could well be interested in this. What's going on?
Yeah, and Manchester United won. So Manchester United have now made a formal bid this lunchtime for Benjamin Sesko. It follows Newcastle United making an improved offer yesterday. Newcastle's offer, 80 million euros fixed plus some add-ons. Manchester United's bid, 75 million euros plus 10 million in add-ons, which we understand have 5 million of them easily achievable. So pretty much a guaranteed 80 million for Leipzig, with another 5 million in add-ons that are a bit harder. Total package 85 million euros. The 75 million euros part matches the quoted price from Leipzig. Of course, they would still have to determine whether the payment terms are preferable. The add-ons take it over the 80 million euros mark. There is some suggestion that Leipzig want a total package of closer to 90 million euros, but Manchester United and Newcastle's bids are not far off. So I think we're in a situation now where this saga is going to resolve itself quickly. And what I can tell you is that Newcastle United placed their bid without a 100% yes from Benjamin Sesko. Manchester United's tactic was only to bid if Sesko said yes. So Manchester United are confident on the player side, but their valuation is lower than Newcastle's bid. Newcastle are confident on the club-to-club side, but they don't have the full buy-in from Benjamin Sesko. And the feeling is, keep your eyes peeled this afternoon, or certainly by tomorrow morning, because this is a saga that's expected to now resolve itself very quickly.
Yeah, wow. I was just going to say there, Ben, that's the key here is, where does the lad actually want to go?
Yeah.
Where does he?
Yeah.
And usually that's kind of been established by this stage.
Yeah.
That, look, I appreciate Newcastle's bid, but it's not where I want to go.
Yeah.
I want to go the other one. So
do you think Newcastle will probably know that already?
Maybe.
If maybe behind the scenes, maybe they're getting a vibe that he wants to go to United.
No club, Paul, wants to bid for a player and they don't get him.
No
one wants to do that.
You lose face.
You lose a bit of face, and it's not good practice, I think, for clubs to genuinely bid for people that they ain't going to get.
Yeah. Very quickly, Ben, I mean, what's your understanding there? Do you think Newcastle can see the writing on the wall in this case? The agents would normally say, look, he's not sure. They would have a gut feeling about it, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think last week Newcastle were quite pessimistic that he was leaning towards Manchester United. And obviously Manchester United had every opportunity last night to say if they didn't have player buy-in, we walk away because the deal is almost 90 million euros. Instead, they've done the opposite and put down a very competitive bid. And that will be, to my understanding, with player buy-in. So it's not quite as black and white as Šeško not wanting Newcastle. Two different projects, one with Champions League football, one where he can obviously replace Alexander Isak in likelihood. The other's Manchester United. No European football, bigger wage and historically a massive club. So I think Šeško is genuinely open to both. But the point here, and a key one, is that Newcastle wanted to blow Man United out the water by bidding big to Leipzig and hoping Man United backed off. Man United never intended to bid unless Šeško said yes. And this is why at the moment, Manchester United will be more confident than Newcastle that Šeško is going to join.
We'll talk again later, Ben. I'm sure this will be developed by then. He'll probably be holding up the shirt at Old Trafford next time we talk to Ben about 2 hours. Anyway, we'll bring you the latest on. We are going to have a chat about Isak later on, and that news kind of feeds into it. But it's Paul Hawksbee and Andy Townsend. We're going to turn to cricket, although Tom Mills is a Norwich fan. One of your old clubs,
yes.
Andy. So Sussex fast bowl is about to play in the 100. He's going on OnlyFans. He'll tell us why shortly.
It's not often you associate fan power with Chelsea Football Club, but one of the shining examples of it lies with a group called the Chelsea Pitch Owners. And they've proved to be the thorn in the side of owners past and present who've been dead set on moving stadiums to a larger, more lucrative piece of land. Essentially, the supporters group holds the freehold to the land on which Stamford Bridge sits. Former owner Ken Bates set it up at a time where some unruly property developers tried to evict the club from their ground. In order to prevent this, he established the CPO as a company that owned the pitch and offered the fans the chance to buy a share for £100. As well as that, they also own the rights to the name Chelsea Football Club, so if any owner wants to take them elsewhere, they can't be called Chelsea without the approval from the CPO. Now, in 2011, Roman Abramovich tried and failed to move them away from Stamford Bridge, and this has set a precedent for Todd Bowley and the current power brokers at Chelsea. They know any plan which involves moving from Stamford Bridge will require CPO approval from the now 13,000 fans who own it. There are fans who are concerned that if they stay at the bridge, they'll be left behind their domestic and European rivals who are moving to more commercially successful stadiums. But for the heritage and history lovers, Stamford Bridge is one of the iconic English stadiums, and to move away would be a grave mistake. It might not be as flashy as others, but stadiums like it have something about them that cannot be replaced. One thing's for sure, if Bowley wants to take Chelsea away from their home, he'll have to go through the CPO first.
Yes, it is Paul Hawksbee and Andy Townsend here on talkSPORT with you through until 4. Now, producer said to me yesterday, we've got Ty Mills coming on tomorrow. I thought, oh, it's 100 just about to start, and he's planning that. We just had a great test match. He's going to talk about that. He said, no, he's just gone on OnlyFans.
Right.
And a bit like you, when I told you, went, aye. But it's not like that.
Okay.
He joins us now. Hi, Ty Mel.
Hi, Tom.
Good afternoon, guys. How are you?
Good, thank you. Yes, this is now. There's people you say I'm on OnlyFans. I saw some of your holiday snaps on Instagram. You're in good nick, Ty Mel. I'm sure there'd be a market for pictures like. But that's not what you're doing. Tell us more.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I've been fielding plenty of those questions since we announced and launched yesterday. The partnership went live, but I guess long story short is the company are looking to progress and advance in terms of sport, and they've already got a lot of individual kind of sports stars, tennis players. Nick Kyrgios is on there, UFC fighters, surfers, and the like, and they're making a push into team sports now. So they approached me kind of over the winter, and we've been in conversations, and here we go. We've launched yesterday.
I bet, Tom, when you first told family members or very close friends, I bet that raised a few eyebrows straight away.
Yeah, obviously, I had to speak to the wife first and foremost, and assured her that it'll just be cricket and lifestyle stuff. But she's been really supportive. And once you actually speak to people and explain what you're doing, people actually think, okay, yeah, it makes sense, because the platform is perfectly set up for athletes, really. But as we know, people's minds sometimes go elsewhere.
Yeah. So what's the nature of the content going to be, Timo?
Well, still going to kind of got a bit of a blank canvas, really, being the first kind of cricketer on there. And obviously give an insight into what it's like. I feel like we often give very manicured and very generic answers and insights in what we see on social media and in interviews. But I'm going to try and give a bit more than that and actually talk about what goes on alongside footage. Okay, what I'm thinking when I'm bowling certain deliveries, for good, for bad. Give my analysis of how things go and try and be as open and as honest and vulnerable as possible, not just put out the good stuff, but put out the bad side of things as well. When you have a bad day, you talk about that as well, and how that makes you feel. And then also there's great opportunities to have kind of coaching and mentoring side of things as well, and have one-on-one. Already since launching yesterday, I've had a lot of messages on the platform straight away from people wanting to get tips and advice on their game, and they can send in footage and I can look at it and give advice as well. So yeah, it's very multifaceted, and as you say, a bit of a blank canvas to see what we can do.
And is there stuff up there already? Are you up and running currently, or?
So kind of got some stuff that we pre-recorded. So yeah, when you go onto the page and subscribe, then yeah, there's stuff that you can see on there, and then yeah, as I said, just having that open dialogue, see what people want, and see if we can make it happen.
Yeah. Any teammates about to follow suit as well? I bet one or two of them are going to be keeping close eyes on it.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. That's the aim for me, because the bigger it gets, if we could get more cricketers on board, and I know the OnlyFans really want footballers on there as well, and the more you can build that community, and you get an audience that really enjoys and is hungry for the content, then hopefully it'll grow. And I guess kind of being one of the first through the door and being there at ground zero, hopefully I can help shape that and benefit from it as it hopefully grows.
We've just come off the back of a pretty amazing test match. I see Craig Overton's in your 100 team, isn't he? Some brave. So
yeah,
you'll be putting a consoling arm around him when you see him tomorrow. But it was just an amazing series, wasn't it? Just an absolutely cracking series.
Yeah, it was brilliant, and we were all in the changing room, glued to the screen for that last, half an hour or so. When Wokesy came out to bat, we were we kind of we all delayed training because we all wanted to watch how it ended up. But there's already chat. That's kind of arguably the greatest test series since that 05 Ashes. Wow. And it really was. There were some memorable moments all throughout the test. And I think 2-2s, obviously, I think that's a pretty fair reflection, because India were, they more than played their part. They were brilliant. And the way it built, that's the great thing about test cricket. I only play short form cricket now, but you don't get those, those at the end of 5 days, those finishes of that we had multiple times where games have really built and guys have given their all, and it comes down to one moment in the game. So yeah, like a brilliant test series, and I know it captivated a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, there was some stuff in the papers today with Ben Stokes talking about substitutions. He's not a massive fan of the idea, feeling that maybe teams would take advantage of it, players would take advantage, and you'd feel a little niggle when you say, well, I'm not bowling particularly well, let's get someone else on instead. I mean, how do you feel about the idea of subs?
Yeah, I think Ben's right. I think in theory, it is great, because you say Rishabh Pant, when he broke his foot early in one of the tests, Chris Wokes, obviously they're clearly injured, they can't do their job, you should swap them out. There is obviously the logical side of that, but yeah, unfortunately it definitely would get taken advantage of, and you would get not so blatant, I think, instances of, as you say, a bowler bowling really badly, and then all of a sudden, okay, no, he's got this injury that he can't bowl anymore, and we'll bring on somebody else. So I agree with Ben. I think it would get abused over, especially as time goes on and it comes into effect more and more. So no sport can be perfect, and it's just a wrinkle of ours, I guess.
Good to hear, Time Al, that cricketers will also abuse things rather than just footballers every day of the week. Do you know what I mean? That's quite nice, that.
Human nature, isn't it?
Andy is a former Norwich player, of course. Can we call you a Norwich legend?
Yes, a canary.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
That's your club, Time Out, isn't it? What is that sort of a geographical thing? Why is that?
Yeah, so I grew up on the Suffolk-Norfolk border, but kind of closer to Norwich than to Ipswich or Cambridge. So yeah, Norwich were my kind of closest team growing up, kind of half an hour or so on the train. And as a kid, we used to get the train up to Norwich and watch the games. And yeah, it's obviously been an up and down ride for the last kind of 10 years, really. But I'm normally pretty pessimistic, because, as we know, as an optimistic football fan normally isn't a very happy one. But this year, I'm actually pretty confident. I think they've made a lot of good signings. Liam Manning, I'm pretty confident with coming over from Bristol City. So yeah, this is the 1 year I'm actually quite confident. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and just say on to the 100 tomorrow, and you got a tidy team. I'm looking at your team at the moment. Some pretty tidy bowlers in there. See, Jofra's part of it. We'll all be keeping a close eye on him. Keeping our fingers crossed he doesn't get injured before the Ashes. But what have you made of his return so far?
Yeah, look, it's been brilliant to have Josh back. I know him well from Sussex, as you say, Southern Brave, and he's been through hell and back really for the last 5 years or so with different pretty serious injuries. So to see him fit and to backing up games and to bowling, he bowled a lot of overs in the Test matches that he played, and came through them pretty much unscathed. He's going to miss our first game here in Manchester tomorrow, but then from what I understand, is going to be with us for the rest of the competition in the 100. So yeah, he's such a brilliant asset. His pace was great. Coming back with England. So yeah, it's just knowing him as a bloke and what he's been through is great just to see him back on the field and fit and enjoying cricket.
Excellent. So if people want to come find you on OnlyFans, they just get onto the site and explain to the missus first that they've gone on there to follow Time Al Mills. That's the first thing they do. But then it's pretty easy to find you. They just stick your name into the search there and they'll get all your content.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you can just subscribe for free, and then certain bits of content will be kind of behind a paywall, and certain bits of content will be free. But you can send messages, and it's all pretty straightforward. And as you say, as we learn more about how it works, we'll keep evolving it and keep growing it.
Wish you well with it. Good to talk to you. Thanks very much.
Good luck, Time Al.
Cheers, guys.
There we are. Time Al Mills there. Southern Brave bowler, Sussex.
Is that going to catch on?
In England. Well, I don't know. I think people like that. I mean, some of the other formats have become a little bit toxic, haven't they? We've seen sort of other sports people coming off of platforms because they've been getting a load of stick and it's been messing with their mental health and it's not good for them.
No.
I don't know what the sort of nature is of the control on OnlyFans, but I think people like the insight. If you're into a sport or you're into a player, you're into something like that, you want to know more about how it works.
Particularly, as Time Al said there, Paul, the mentoring side of things, you know, almost like one-to-one sort of coaching.
Almost, So you can get Time to have a look at your action.
Correct.
I might sign you up. You could end up playing franchise cricket around the world. It could well be worth it for you. Anyway, we're going to talk a bit of Alexander Isak and that news that came in a little bit earlier on from Ben Jacobs. He'll be back with us later on. Manchester United have put in a pretty substantial bid for Benjamin Sesko of RB Leipzig. Andy has seen Sesko play a fair bit along the way. We'll talk about the sort of fit he might be at United, the sort of fit he might be at Newcastle, and where it leaves Newcastle around Alexander Isak. We'll do that in a few moments' time. We're here with Toolstation, delivering as little as 30 minutes with Fast Track. Next stop, Toolstation. Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee and Andy Townsend with you through until 4 on talkSPORT. And Manchester United, we've been hearing in the last 20 minutes or so from our transfer expert, Ben Jacobs, have put in a formal bid to RB Leipzig for Benjamin Sesko. It's an €85 million package with all the add-ons included. It seems slightly less than Newcastle's bid. But Ben Jacobs, there is a feeling that Sesko favours a move to Manchester United. As I'm saying, wages probably play a part in that, but he hasn't got Champions League football. And before we talk about where that leaves you, Newcastle and Isak, you've seen a bit of Sesko play. So, and for those that haven't, what are his attributes, and how would you see him fitting in both teams, considering he'd probably be the main man at Newcastle?
Yeah. So, biggest thing about him to start with, 6'5", but he's not a 6'5" in the sense of just,
a target man.
Man, knocking things up to him and he's nodding them back to people running towards him. No, he's a very, very technical footballer. He looks very two-footed. His finishing ability is, he's got that lovely technique, that lovely ability to strike a ball very sweetly. Not all strikers, believe it or not, it sounds stupid, even some of the top players, not every striker out there is blessed with that ability to hit things crisp and sweet on the half volley, Paul. If they come to him, doesn't have to take a touch always, seems to be able to adjust his feet in order to get his strikes away on goal. I don't think he's going to be the most prolific that we've seen on these shores, but I think if you look at his record in Germany over the last couple of years, all in with his European performances and the domestic cups, he's 20 and 20 plus each season.
But there's room to develop as well. That's
for him, and he's 22 years old.
Yeah.
So he's a very young man. He's got, as I said, he certainly looks quick enough. How aggressive he is, and how aggressive he actually even needs to be, I wouldn't absolutely know that. But certainly from the games I've commentated on when he's been playing, very gifted technically, which is nice to hear.
I mean, the Bundesliga is a pretty physical league as well. Correct. So if he can cope, I mean, we always know, we talk about the pace of the Premier League especially, but so Manchester United, within that, they've got Brian Mbeumo there.
Yes.
I mean, this is a player that he's used to playing not just with one partner, with two partners, as we saw with, sort of Vista and
correct,
and Watkins and different people in the past.
Ivan Toney and people like that.
Ivan Toney. So he's a very, 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 very adaptable player, isn't he? So those two you could see working together pretty well.
Absolutely. He can play up the top on his own because I think of his stature. He could have someone alongside him. He could have those two number 10s, which Ruben Amorim with the back three, and the Holland's most disappointing aspects for me is that he doesn't hold the ball up well enough. He's quite a big boy, but he doesn't hang on to it very well. He doesn't seem to protect it and drop it off. Midfield players, when you're running at a striker or ball's going into your striker, you don't always want it popped back to you straight away.
No.
You want him to recognise when he can drop it back to you that gives you the chance to get your shots away or whatever from there. And I think he's got that technical aspect to his game where he gets it, he recognises that, and I'd see that being very exciting potentially for United if he's up there with Mbeumo and Cunha in and around him. Hopefully, a revitalised Mason Mount not too far away as well. I think that bodes well.
It complicates life for Newcastle because if they'd got Sesko over the line, our own Alex Crook was reporting this morning that he understood that Sesko would be a replacement for Isak, and if they got Sesko, they would start the horse trade with Liverpool around Isak, who it seems clearly wants to go now. So if they don't get Sesko and he goes to Manchester United, I mean, I don't know what else they're working on.
No.
Whether they can land anybody else. Or do they play hardball with Isak? And is that a good idea, Andy, when a player wants to go?
I think it's making life a little tricky for all concerned. The player, the agent, and Eddie Howe at Newcastle. It's making it awkward. In an ideal world, you'd want Liverpool to come in with 135 plus some add-ons and the boy goes.
Yeah.
Because clearly he's made his mind up. Eddie Howe, days away now from the start of the new season, does not want to mess about and pander to somebody and try and convince the rest of the squad that don't worry, he'll be all right when you know full well he's not. There's nothing worse than that.
No.
Nothing worse than going. We're as a footballer, as a commodity, it's always a bit weird when you're in this team, you're wrapped in this, it's all about us in here.
Yeah.
And you're actually in amongst it all. It's about you on your own as well.
Sure.
What you want to do, about what you can get, what you can earn, what you can do that works best for you long term.
And the players, I was saying to Perry yesterday, is there an understanding around modern pros that they know that? They think, well, fair play to Alexander. Yeah. He wants another club. They're not going to be seeing him as disloyal because they're all fellow pros as well. The fans won't like it, but
correct.
Players don't think like fans.
No, the players won't think like that. The only time that players would get the hump, Paul, completely would be that if Isak was asked to play and wasn't putting a shift in.
Right.
And wasn't pulling his weight. I don't believe that would happen.
No.
I don't think it will come to that. If that ever materialised, then you got a problem.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to fall out with people, and then people are going to start pointing a finger at the manager, saying, "Get him out."
Yeah.
Because we don't want someone hanging around here that doesn't want to know. So, they'll all be teammates, and listen, it's Isak at the moment. Who knows? Next year it could be another player.
Yeah.
And right now, the guy that Newcastle are potentially looking at to get in is having to do something similar with his teammates.
Yeah.
It's a weird world in that respect. It's just something that is part of the game and that you live with and get on with.
I mean, we all talk about the food chain in football, and there are very few teams that are exempt from it, aren't there? I mean, there's just a two or three.
Correct.
I mean, you might argue that not many people try and angle away out of Real Madrid.
Yes.
I mean, even Liverpool with Luis Diaz, I mean, they may have wanted to let him go, but he made it clear he wanted to go.
Wanted to have a change.
So sometimes you just can't keep players.
No, it doesn't always have to be that sinister that someone's fallen out with the club that he's playing for, fed up with living there, doesn't like this, doesn't like. Sometimes people just want to move. They genuinely want another challenge, genuinely want something else. And
that's easy to sell to fans if it's. I mean, I remember when Christian Eriksen was like that at Tottenham.
Right.
He wanted a different lifestyle. He wanted to go and play. Wanted to go and live in Italy, playing it. Wanted a different.
Yeah.
So you can kind of respect that. But when you're moving, down the motorway to Liverpool. That's a bit tougher to take.
That is that I understand can upset fans and gets and makes life difficult.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to see how this all pans out now. But again, if and when Šeško one does happen, Paul, then all of a sudden that's another one chalked off, and then it starts to everyone's focus starts to sharpen a bit more.
Interested to hear from the Newcastle fans today in light of that news, and the Manchester United fans. You excited by this prospect? We'll talk again to Ben Jacobs later on, but it would seem the player would fancy a move to Manchester United, and they're a bit short on Newcastle. Maybe they'll match the offer. We'll see. But let us know. talksport.com/H&J. Text to 81089 or tweet to TSH&J. You can give us a call 03717 223344. Graham Stack, former Arsenal keeper and coach, popping in. Steve Backshall's going to join us for a chat and all manner of other stuff besides.
wondered why Erling Haaland scores a hat-trick instead of just 3 goals? Why Darwin Núñez is said to have missed a sitter rather than just missing a really easy shot? Or why on earth defenders are said to park the bus? Let's break down some of our favourite football cliches. First, let's talk hat-tricks. The term comes from cricket back in the 1800s. Any bowler who managed to get 3 successive wickets used to be rewarded with a hat from their club. Next up, if you see a skillful tackle, an athletic save or a 40-yard screamer, you might say these things are out the top drawer. That's because back in Victorian times, if you had wealth, valuable stuff, you kept it in the top drawer of your dresser, so loaded families became known as top drawer. Remember the last time your team left you feeling as sick as a parrot? The image of the sick bird is thought to come from a classic British comedy moment, Monty Python's Dead Parrot sketch, but the phrase was first used in football by Liverpool defender Phil Thompson. He supposedly said it after Liverpool lost to Nottingham Forest in the 1978 League Cup final. Forest won thanks to a controversial penalty given away by a Thompson foul, even though it was actually outside the box. Poor guy said he felt sick as a parrot afterwards. Is there anything more embarrassing than a nutmeg in football? Weird name, but it's actually related to the trading of nutmeg, the spice. It was so expensive back in the day that corrupt exporters used to try and mix in a bit of wood in with the nutmeg to cut their costs. The term soon became slang. If you were nutmegged, it was because the person you were buying off had pulled a fast one on you. Jose Mourinho brought a lot of things to English football, and seems like one of those was the phrase "park the bus." He used it after his Chelsea side had been held to a goalless draw by Spurs in 2004. Tottenham had been extremely defensive, not trying to score, but making sure Chelsea couldn't either. Mourinho actually said, "They brought the bus and left the bus in front of the goal, as we say in my country." Finally, another phrase that actually comes from cricket. Footballers are said to have missed a sitter if they miss an easy chance. In the late 19th century, it was used in cricket to describe a moment when a fielder failed to take a catch which was so easy they should have been able to catch it sitting down. So there you have it, some of your favourite footballing cliches. And if you think this video is all over, well, it is now.
Good afternoon, it's Paul Hawksbee. I wasn't expecting it. Paul Hawksbee and Andy Townsend with you through until 4 o'clock. We're going to be joined by Graham Stack a little bit later on. If you've ever listened to an Arsenal podcast and players of Graham's vintage, including their own Jermaine Pennant, has been on there, they have a few Stacky war stories.
Do they?
I'm sure you shared dressing rooms with players like that.
And the goalies, Paul, it's true.
You think it's goalies?
Well, look, the goalies are a little bonkers.
Okay.
You know, and I'm sure some of the stories about Graham are going down that road.
Well, he wants to entice some of his fellow former pros into the world of boxing, but it's for a good cause. He'll tell us more about that a little bit later on. He's going to join us, and we'll look at the changing. He's been a goalkeeping coach for many years, and changing face of goalkeepers and how they train and recruit keepers these days, because we all know, of course, you've got to be an outfield player effectively who's good in goal.
Very true.
It's changed a lot. Before that, though, maybe with a nod to the music we were listening to there, our next guest is, we're going to talk about, I mean, this time of year, of course, summer holidays, and our kids are a bit older now, Andy, but when they were young, we all knew that feeling of taking them out during the summer holidays. They're sitting in the back of the car. Yeah. They're kicking off, having a row.
Are we there yet?
Are we there yet? I can see the sea. I doubt it. We're in Dagenham still. But all that sort of stuff. And, you're driving a car. You forget the fact, you're going to have to keep an eye on the road.
Very true.
And Steve Backshall who we know from Deadly 60 and other fine work, of course, the naturalist and wildlife presenter. He joins us now to chat about that, amongst other things. Hiya, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Hello, you both. How you doing?
Not too bad. Yeah, we were those soldiers. We've been there back in the day of the very thing you're talking about. And, you know, it's so important that everybody keeps their eyes on the road. But, you know, you've got some research that says people have had, hopefully not bad ones, but little prangs when they've been kind of put off by the kids kicking off in the back.
Yeah, that's right. So there's been a whole bunch of research that's been carried out by Volvo, and it's been all about roadside nature and how we can use the wild world, natural world, to kind of capture kids' attention while they're in the car. Because if we lose that attention, then they tend to go absolutely bananas, and that can be hugely distracting. And I've got 3 wee ones myself, and most of the time, if they're driving each other nuts, they can go to a different room, they can go and climb a tree. But when they're in the back of the car, they're strapped in next to each other within, hair pulling range, and it's the flashpoint. It is the worst part in the day, particularly when the summer holidays are here, when you can guarantee that tantrums are going to kick off, they're going to go crazy, and it's really super distracting to you. So anything that you can have that can help to distract them, and I'm as guilty as anyone, is just handing them a laptop, handing them a tablet, and just letting them get stuck in. But if we can find something a little bit more creative to distract them, then perhaps it can be a positive part of the day.
Yeah. So what sort of things are they looking at in nature? Are they kind of counting stuff, trying to spot stuff?
Yes.
What are you looking for?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, for me as a naturalist, roadsides, verges, motorways are actually one of the most important habitats we have in the country. One of the most underrated, but it is the way that we link up all of our parks and woodlands, our national parks. All of the wild places are joined by these arteries of life, which run along the side of our motorways. So they are probably the place where we're most likely to see wildflowers and butterflies and birds. You focus on a kestrel hovering over a roadside verge about to drop down and catch a vole, about a buzzard sat on a fence post which looks like an eagle at the roadside, red kites hovering over your head where I am in the Chiltern Hills. There are so many things that we can encourage our youngsters to engage with, and particularly if you're heading out for a day in the wilds, why not start it off there in the car? In other words, what would be a dead part of the day, get them started like that. And I mean, I am not criticizing at all. Understand that whatever we have to do to make sure that kids are entertained is really important, because as the statistics show, there are plenty of people who literally crash their cars because the kids are kicking off in the back.
Yeah.
So trying to make sure that we can do anything to get them diverted has got to be a good thing.
I remember back in the day, Steve, it was a bag of crisps and a bar of chocolate when you picked them up from school. Why are kids, they're always starving when they come out of school? First thing they do is get in the car, they say hello. What have you got me?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Why are they so hungry?
It's good if they say hello, isn't it? That's a start.
You were telling us, Andy, your daughter, you had a terrible situation.
Yes, my daughter decided to eat a cream egg, Steve. Rather than nibble at it, she decided to have a go at it in one. And pop
That's a drinking game, isn't it?
Well, pop the whole thing in, and of course I looked round and saw my son looking at her, and he said, "Dad, I think," and of course she got a cream egg stuck halfway down her throat. I had to dramatically pull the car over, get out, whip her out of the car seat, and make sure she's all right, which thankfully she was.
Oh, blimey, what a shocker that was.
And what a waste of a cream egg, I might add.
Yeah. I took it out of her pocket money. 60p out of her pocket money, which is probably what it was then. Okay, Steve, people go and check all that out at Volvo and find out more about the research. We'll come on to rugby in a minute, but your series Deadly 60, where you spend time with the world's deadliest animals, has there only been any moments as a husband and father you thought, blimey, I've bitten off a bit more I can chew here? Can you remember the scariest moment when you thought, this is it?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a fair few, but I have to say most of them haven't been with animals. Most of them have been, climbing. I've had a couple of big climbing falls. I've had a couple of real near misses in the kayak. When it's with animals, it tends to be with the big stuff. So it tends to be with elephants, hippo, rhinos, buffalo, things that are quicker than you, bigger, stronger than you, and where you often just can't get away. I had one particular incident on the Zimbabwe-Mozambique border about 20 odd years ago now. We were on foot and a bull elephant took exception to us being around and charged. And there were no trees around, there was no vehicle, there was no way of escaping, and he pulled up no more than 3 or 4 meters away from us, and I can still feel the hackles going up on the back of my neck even describing it now. The terror of this huge animal making all that noise, making itself as terrifying as it possibly could. That was a one of those moments where you appreciate your own mortality.
I said to Paul earlier, Steve, I'd love to, and I'm sure you've done it, be amongst the gorillas and the silverback. When everyone is sort of sitting there and everyone has to stare at the floor because he's kind of walking past and he just comes up very close to you, and then it just sort of seems to breeze past. I mean, the sheer size and scale of those things must be incredible.
Well, most of the time, I have had one who came up and, as an expression of dominance, sprinted straight at me and swung a massive left hook, which caught me right in the family jewels. So there is footage out there, and we actually showed it in the show of me getting cuffed in the ghoulies by a gorilla.
And did you take a standing count, Steve, on that one? I'm sure you did.
I was down and out.
Wow. I mean, but that's that's fantastic, isn't it? Really? Do you think he was just
looking for that, Steve, after the show?
Do you think he was aiming for that region, or was it just a bit of a wild and really knew what he?
Frank Warren said it was definitely below the belt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's right. Steve went down, but he went on to win the fight, a bit like Alexander Usyk. Yeah. We just had your rugby's your game, Steve. We just had the Lions tour. We were chatting to Eddie Jones yesterday. So, what did you make of it? Did you enjoy it? Did you get to see any of the tests?
Yeah, I did. I listened to one on talkSPORT, and I was, I think it was a really complex tour for lots of different reasons. There was so much chat around it from both sides. When it came down to the actual rugby, I thought the first test was really disappointing. The second 2 were electric, and there's a lot of talk about whether Australia was the right place to go, whether they were a strong enough team to be taking on the Lions, and they certainly proved in the last 2 tests that they were. For me, the Lions is, I'm not a football fan, but I can imagine that if you were to have that fantasy thing every 4 years where all the fans get to chat about who their favourite players are from England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, put them together into a fantasy team and then actually see it perform. It's magic. The Lions has something about it that is really, really special. And, it's not surprising. There are 40, 50,000 people that take their whole year's holiday to fly down to South Africa or Australia or New Zealand to go and support the Lions, because it's that unique thing where all these nations come together, and it is very, very special. This time around, there just appeared to be an awful lot of kind of just gab and chat from all sorts of people about lots of different areas. It wasn't quite as celebrated a Lions tour as perhaps they have been in the past.
It's New Zealand next, of course, which always ups the ante.
Yeah, it does.
So that'll be fascinating. Well, Steve, we wish you well. Good to talk to you. What else are you up to at the moment?
I've got a monster tour in October, my first ever arena tour.
Wow.
So doing the O2, Manchester Arena, and lots of other big places like that, which is really, really scary, but very exciting at the same time.
See if we can track down that gorilla to come on for the finale. That would be fantastic. Just to run on the stage.
Brilliant. Great stuff. Oh, Steve, I'm having a look at that later, mate, for sure.
I would imagine it's on YouTube.
It is, very much so.
Nice one. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, you all.
There we are. There's Steve Backshaw there. Our thanks to him.
Paul, how many people on the way home today with the kids in the back? We're going, now, see that bird? That's a lesser spotted. And Shut up. Where's the crisps?
Where's me crisps? I'm watching my iPad, or I'm playing a game, or I'm on the phone.
Exactly.
It's very true. I mean, we used to play. I mean, I used to the kids, even as adults, you used to play Eddie Stobart versus Norbert Dontresangle, didn't you? They were ubiquitous on the motorway. Eddie v Norbert was a game I used to get the kids playing, try and keep them quiet.
You do anything.
One of them would be Eddie, one would be Norbert, and may the best kid win. That was the idea. But anyway, talksport.com, text 81089, tweet TSH and J to get in touch on anything this afternoon. We're going to have a chat with Nathan Rooney next. He's the Larne coach. They've got a big game in Europe this week. He's got some pedigree as Nathan in European football. He used to manage a thing called Bruno's Magpies in Gibraltar. And this was a team set up by a Newcastle fan that had a bar and decided just to set up a kind of pub football team.
Right.
And Nathan was part of the coaching, was the coach that took them into Conference League football. So he has some pedigree in Europe.
Fantastic.
And he also went viral, him and his missus, when he got married a couple of years back. So we'll play you a bit of that if you're watching on YouTube today. And we'll have a chat with Nathan. And looking at it, I think his wife should be called in to do some finishing practice with alarm players. But she is a professional footballer, as Nathan will explain very shortly. We're here with our very good friends at Toolstation this summer. Shop Toolstation's award-winning Hawksmoor lawnmower range in-store, on the app and online. Next stop, Toolstation. Paul Hawksbee and Andy Townsend here on talkSPORT. Well, we've got European qualifying unfolding at the moment, and Northern Ireland club Larne, they're in action. They take on a side from the Azores, interestingly enough.
Amazing.
Playing the Portuguese league.
Great, all these games, Paul, already.
Yeah.
Qualifiers.
I mean, it's hard to believe. Yeah. I mean, these qualifiers, we're into the sort of second stages of them.
Yeah.
Nathan Rooney is the Larne coach, and he joins us now. Hi, Nathan.
Hi, Nathan.
Good afternoon, fellas. How are you?
Yeah, we're pretty good, thank you. I was just saying to the listeners earlier on, we've talked about one of your old clubs on this show before because it is quite a story. Bruno's Magpies, a sort of a pub team in Gibraltar, literally a team that was set up in a pub by a Newcastle fan, hence the name. And you took them into Europe historically for the first time, didn't you?
Absolutely. It's been a story what's been definitely been well spoken about in the past. And it's obviously a massive thing what's currently still in Gibraltar. So, yeah, it was a really good time for me. We managed to get into Europe on 3 occasions back to back. And I managed to get a really positive move now to Lyme Football Club as well.
Now, you're playing Santa Clara tomorrow, aren't you? I mean, they finished 5th in Portugal? They look a pretty decent side. It's not going to be easy, is it?
Correct. No, we play them on Thursday, yeah. We've got a couple of days yet to go. We've got one more session there up at Ballymena. But Santa Clara, yeah, you put it into context, we're probably looking at a £30 million budget there against our small 900,000. So it makes you more motivated. It gives you an opportunity to really put yourself on the big stage again. But we also beat 2 good sides to get to this point. So I'm just hoping that we can try and sustain that confidence as well moving forward.
Yeah. Nathan, tell us a bit about your journey and obviously coaching now at the level you're at. Is this something that you always set out to do? Because I think there are more opportunities nowadays for younger guys. You know, I said to Paul earlier, historically you had a long playing career and then you drop into coaching, whereas now a lot more people are looking to get into coaching from the get-go.
Yeah, absolutely, Andy. Yeah, I think it's a realisation as well, especially in the tough industry that we find ourselves in. So you get to 18, 19 and you actually look to your left and your right and you think, you know what, you're not better than them players. And especially that was the case. So for me, I was very, very not lucky. I worked and got my A licence and all my badges where they needed to be. And I really got upbringing at Blackburn Rovers through the academy set up. And I've had some really positive moves off the back of that. So, you end up going down to lower leagues and EFL and League Two assistant managers. And I find myself 5-6 years ago going on my own path. And it's quite good to see that there's more than me out there, by the way, in terms of young British coaches who are trying to find their feet. But no, I've recently just hit the 150 mark as a manager as well. And I'm never going to look back now. I'm enjoying the journey, shall we say.
That's good.
What's your secret in European football? I mean, you're obviously getting the players to sort of play above themselves and you've got a really good record in these European knockout competitions. Yeah. Is there any secret, Nathan?
Well, when I first came into it about 5 years ago, I think it was more of a motivation to challenge yourself against some of the better teams. But I think in terms of the way I like to play the game, it's just probably breeding the confidence in terms of the groups that you have. And to be honest with you, European football doesn't change. They all play the same way. They all play with a back three. So your planning's already done in terms of how teams are going to look against you. And then it's just a matter of just trying to find that belief and them strengths with the so-called smaller clubs that you're managing. Now, there's no hiding. Lorne have done ever so well. They're not a small club in terms of the landscape of football, but in terms of the European stage, they definitely are. So, yeah, belief, good tactical setup, and probably just having that energy as a young manager to provide to the squad.
And what sort of difference does it make to the club? I mean, even at this point, has it been lucrative from the club's point of view and actually getting into the competition proper and reaching the group stage? What difference would that make to the club?
Well, obviously, there's always good press in terms of financial returns, and everyone's trying to fight for that. But I think it's just allowing us to be more sustainable. It's also a minimum requirement for our football club to achieve European football year in, year out. I think it has to be. But also for us, we want to keep the tag, and the attraction of the new ownership now is obviously attracting new owners and investors to the league, as well as good players who are coming in to change the landscape of Irish football. So it's becoming more of an attractive package, but European football for club owners, it's obviously their motivation as well.
And you're still seeing lots of good young talent out there, Nathan. Are there players that are playing at your club and clubs like yours that you feel could quite easily make the step up into league football here?
Yes, Andy, definitely. And obviously, I've gone a different way around. Obviously, being young and coming through the EFL and now arriving as a head coach in this really, really strong division, you actually see the pedigree of the younger players. And I think over here, where the boys are brought up, it's a tough upbringing over here. They've got that grit, they've got that steel, and if they can get the good coaching and then get the TLC, then they can definitely break through in the English system. I have no doubt about that. There is current interest in certain players with us, and I know there's interest in players in other clubs in our league. I just hope that the owners and the clubs are willing for them opportunities to be given to these players.
Now, this summer, the spotlight was on your missus, of course, who was part of the Wales team, Rhiannon Roberts, playing in the Euros. And I don't know if the listeners are aware that your wedding video went viral a few years back, didn't it? When everybody had an impromptu kickabout. I think we're going to be, if you're watching on YouTube or Connect TV, we can show you a little bit of that now. And everybody, all the guests decided to have a kickabout. And definitely the best goal that was witnessed that day was from your wife, Rhiannon, in her wedding dress. It's a lovely finish. I'm in a position to show it to you. Because, let's watch that now. Let's just watch we've got the slow-mo replay or in real time. Let's have a look. Here we go. Any second now. Or apparently not. Oh, here we go. There it is. There we are. So there it is. Look at this. So the ball, there we go. Ball's, oh, look at that. Just opens up her body.
Very good.
Slots it in the corner. In a wedding dress.
Yeah, right.
Does she still dine out on that one now and again?
She's a very humble girl. We had a family party 2 days ago. I just managed to get back after the last game for the day, and I just said it was a very well planned day. We put the worst footballer in goal, which was me in-law, my father-in-law. But no. Look at their team there as well, chaps. I mean, you had Sue Smith, the ex-England player as well, and other players playing with Rhiannon. So we knew before the game kicked off, it was on to a loser.
Do you know, I was just thinking to myself there, Nathan, you know, you've had a tough day at work with the lads, or you might have had a result at the weekend not going so well. You want to go home to get away from football and forget about it. You walk through the front door and your missus wants to know who's playing, what back four you're going to start with at the weekend.
You know what? That's what makes it work. Definitely, that's what makes it work.
Good stuff. Well, look, we wish you well, Nathan, against Santa Clara, and we'll keep a lookout and fingers crossed we can be a bit of a good luck charm. We'll be chatting to you before the next round. So thanks very much.
Best of luck, mate.
Thank you so much for the invite, and I'll speak to you shortly.
There we are.
Pal.
There's Nathan Rooney there, the Larne FC coach, taking on Santa Clara of Portugal. And that's on Thursday in the Conference League. And we'll keep an eye on Larne for you and report back. Hopefully be having a chat with him again. But that was a nice finish, wasn't it? For
good finish.
Certainly in a wedding dress.
Oh, yeah.
It can't be easy. You're not
hitched up the wedding dress so it wasn't dragging on the floor. She's had to hitch it up.
Just
a good finish.
Side foot, just drilled it into the corner. Very good. Anyway, we're going to be talking a bit of goalkeeping and more. And maybe a few of your favourite footballers could be trying their hand at boxing for a good cause. Graham Stack, former Arsenal keeper, member of the Invincible side.
Yes, I do.
And a goalkeeping coach at many clubs. He's going to pop in the studio, tell us more about that. We are going to join Andy Goldstein as well over at the Florida Open Pool. He's managed to draw one of the absolute legends of pool.
And he is pool, and he's the guy that he's
Earl Strickland,
He is apparently
if you only know
good.
one pool player, it's a bit like drawing Pele at football. So he's not made it easy for himself.
Oh,
anyway, we'll be chatting to Andy a bit later on, and we'll have the clips of the month. You'll be able to vote for those as well. That's all to come.
Shin pads are a footballer's best friend. Even if players like Jack Grealish do wear such small ones you can barely even see them. But what's the story with shin pads, and are there actually any rules on how big they should be? It all started with cricket, actually. Cricketers had been wearing shin pads since the 1700s. It was thanks to this guy that shin protection made its way over to football. Meet Samuel Widdowson. He was a cricketer and a footballer. He played for Nottingham Forest back in the late 1800s, and he wanted a way to protect his legs from nasty tackles. Naturally, his mind drifted to his other favourite sport, where players had been wearing these pads for a century. Story goes, Widdowson cut up his cricket pads and popped them on before taking to the footy pitch. His Nottingham Forest team then began wearing them from 1887, and the first known use of them in a match was in 1894, in a match between Newcastle and the then Woolwich Arsenal. Eventually, FIFA clocked on that this kind of protection was pretty important for footballers. And so, in 1990, basically 100 years after Widdowson first put them on, shin pads were made compulsory. It became part of Law 4 of IFAB. That's the body responsible for setting the laws of the game internationally. But the law doesn't actually specify anything about measurements of shin pads. It just says they must be made of a suitable material and be of an appropriate size to provide reasonable protection. It's really vague, even though there have been calls for it to be changed. But for now, that's why Grealish and co can still get away with these ones, which are no bigger than a credit card and which seem to offer little to no protection whatsoever.
Paul Hawksbee, Andy Townsend here on talkSPORT with you through until 4 o'clock. The man joining us in the studio is quite infamous, really. If you speak to Messrs Parler, Pennant and others who work with us here at talkSPORT, they've all got a Stacky story. They've all got a Graham Stack story. Many of them we can't tell this time of day. Some we can, because he's joined us in the studio. Hi, Graham.
How are you? You all right?
Hello, mate. You good?
Yes, very well, thanks.
Yeah. There's a few of the boys are saying when they start telling their old war stories from the Invincibles days and under Wenger, your name often does come up.
Yeah, I think that's a modern theme with a lot of the lads I've played with in the past. Yeah, there's been a few, I think, over the course of my career. I've played at so many clubs, played with so many players. Had my fair few nights out with the lads, and undoubtedly there'll be stories to tell.
Yeah. They say you were the man that Arsene Wenger couldn't tame. Is that fair?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably say if anyone could tame it, would have been him.
Yeah.
But I think looking back, there was probably decisions I made probably in the past. Looking back at, as a young lad. Probably I look back, I've got a boy now who's in an academy at Watford, and I certainly try and I don't tell him all my stories, but I'm trying to make him better than what I was.
Does he? I mean, you say do this, do that, and he says, "Well, you weren't like that, Dad." But I mean, times we were talking about this earlier on. How kids have changed and the attitudes of young players, and you've been witnessing that as a coach. It's very different now, isn't it?
It's completely different. I think the landscape of young footballers has changed. I think. Just socially, really, I think everything's so accessible to kids now. It's instant. I just think, times have changed in terms of, I know I look back at my youth team and arguably probably the best youth team in the country, winning back-to-back youth cups. But there wasn't much else for us to do really, growing up as kids in London, and that goes without saying, probably up and down the country. It was football, and I think nowadays, and there's so much on offer for kids, whether that's via social media or whether that's via the internet or whatever that might be. I just think there's so much choice out there for kids.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I think the competition for young players now is probably tougher than it's ever been. If you're a young British player trying to break through, looking back, my academy, I mean, we started to see the first influx of young foreign boys, and in fairness, they were the best. We had Jeremy Eladier, Cesc Fabregas, Nicola Galli, God rest his soul, Moritz Volts. These are, were 2 Brazilian boys. These are in an under-18 side, but I think now, I think the clubs have got such a massive reach in terms of their recruitment. It's not just picking the best from, if you play for Middlesex schools or you play for Hertfordshire schools, chances are you'd be associated with a professional football club. But things have changed now, and it's got tougher. It really has.
We just saw, Graham, we saw yesterday Rio Ngamoa, young lad now at Liverpool, score a great goal in a pre-season friendly.
Yeah.
And again, now a ton of expectation around him. So what do you do how do you try and look after these boys and manage them? What do you do?
I think, do you know what? I mean, that's changed. It's changed a lot. I think that the noise tends to come from outside the football club, which is uncontrollable, really. So when young players put themselves on the map, I think it'll be content on social media, at times agents. It'd be people from outside the club that are probably building players up probably too early, in my opinion. I think figures get bandied around on what these young players are on, and what they're worth. And I think it's really important that for young players, it's just keeping that focus and that mindset of still never done enough.
Correct.
But it's
absolutely right. And that is spot on. That is always the best thing, I think. Always bring it back to the football for these boys.
But now, I suppose they've got to be the right sort of boys, haven't they, guys? Because, I mean, I was talking to Perry Groves about Max Dowman, and there's been all the fuss about him.
Yeah, of course.
Perry obviously knows a little bit about his background. It comes from a kind of good family, seems to be keeping very grounded. And that's key, isn't it? Well, at 15, everybody's talking about the next big thing. It can't be easy to keep your feet on the ground.
No, it's not. And I think, look, your family is first and foremost. I think if you've got good parents or, you've got people behind you as such that really do keep you humble, keep your feet on the ground. It's quite easy to get carried away as parents as well, I think. I've seen that in the past, been involved at academies, and I think they tend to want to be involved probably more than they should be. I think it's a case of letting the club deal with a player and obviously managing his pathway and his career and his journey. But from when players leave that pitch and leave that training ground, I think ultimately they're in the hands of their parents and guardians to keep them on point really, and just keep them in touch without getting too carried away with what's going on. So I mean, look, there's a lot of great young talent out there at the minute. It's when I look at social media and stuff, there's young boys at Liverpool, Chelsea, and Arsenal. I mean, we are starting to produce some really special players. Yeah, from the looks of it.
We'll come back to goalkeeping, how that's changed with young players, but we want to talk a bit about what you're up to at the moment. This is a charity event you've got coming up later on. It's pretty star-studded. People from football and the world of boxing involved, because you're looking to get some footballers boxing, aren't you?
I am, yeah. So, take it back really to a bit of a backstory really, and sort of generally speaking, from my point of view, I think would probably coincide with a lot of ex-athletes and footballers. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to reconnect ex-players, ex-athletes, a sense of community, also ex-boxing coaches. I'm trying to create a unique event which will take place probably 2-3 times a year up and down the country. Our first being at the Grosvenor House Hotel in Mayfair on the 18th of October. Now, we are going to have 10 ex-professional football players that are going to be fighting in 5 white-collar bouts, 3 2-minute bouts. And it gives the boxers, ex-footballers, an opportunity where I know the difficulties when you finish the game. And, you're missing out on that engagement. You're missing out on that euphoria, that competitiveness. You lose structure. Which can sometimes be quite damaging, not just to your physical health, because you have a sort of, you lack that sort of spark because you're missing it. Just trying to find ways that you can get that back. but not also give ex-players a platform to perform and to for something to train for, but also give them an opportunity to raise their profile, get fitter in body and mind, but ultimately raise £500,000 for charity this year is our aim. So, I mean, we want to take these ex-players not just for a spectacular night, but also on a journey over 6 weeks. So it's going to be done extremely professionally. There'll be pre-fight and post-fight medical checks. We're going to have a press conference. We'll have weigh-ins. I mean, we've got some incredible people involved. I mean, we've got ambassadors. Joe Cole is an ambassador. Leanne Sanderson, Darren Barker, world champion. Nina Hughes, world champion. And we've also got, don't want to miss anyone out, Ian Wright. So we've got 3 ex-England internationals, and we've also got 2 ex-world champions who are supporting us. Being ex-sportsmen and women, I think they understand the challenges themselves when you finish the game. So
do you have boxers lined up? Are you in a position to give us some names?
I certainly can. Yeah. So we've had I've approached a couple of the boys at talkSPORT, funny enough, who have declined the offer. Jamie O'Hara and Troy. I've had conversations with them. Yeah. And we've also had Danny Simpson, Henry Lansbury and Mark Bircham that are unfortunately unable to do it. Oh. So the fighters we have got confirmed currently are Jodie Morris, Jermaine Pennant, David Bentley, Lee Trundle, Anthony Gardner, Marvin Elliott, Paddy Kenny, Leroy Lita, Greg Halford, Curtis Davis and Marvin Sordell.
Wow. Some good names there.
So we've got some, and look, I think we've got a group chat and we've discussed what the event's going to look like. So the journey is going to be, we're going to try and get some real content behind the scenes and follow their journey from a 6-week camp. So it's going to be taking them to the gym. We've got Dave Caldwell, who's going to take Paddy Kenny, and potentially Greg Halford, who are based up that way. Darren Barker, James De Gale, Kevin Mitchell, and Leon McKenzie are just some of the coaches we've got. So these lads are going to go into the gym. They'll be filmed on their journey. We're hoping to get start at a starter camp when they've got a beer belly, and then when they've got a 6-pack.
Before and after.
When they've got a bigger one after meeting up with all the lads again.
I see you've got an online as Pro Project Promotions.
Yes, Pro Project Promotions. So we've got all our social handles and a website. If you go to the website, we've got so much detail about the backstory as to why we've set this up. I think it's really important that I give the charities a mention. So Willow Foundation.
Well, you worked with Bob at Arsenal, didn't you? Bob Wilson,
So obviously Bob is one of my heroes and someone I absolutely adore. Gave me an opportunity, signed me. Well, he spotted me for Arsenal. Yeah. So he was the one that opened the door for me as a young kid. But stayed in touch with Bob over a number of years, been to some Willow events, golf days, and recently one at the Emirates. And I thought to myself, what a better opportunity! What a great opportunity for me to be able to give something back and raise some money for Willow. Sport in Mind is a mental health charity to work with the NHS, and also Helping Hands and Play Skill, children's charities that are close to my heart. I've been to see the kids and been to been to a number of events, and again trying to raise as much money as we possibly can. There's pages on the website where you can go and donate, but ultimately we've got over 1,000 guests that are going to be in attendance on the night. It's going to be a black tie event. We're going to have some incredible entertainment. So Alfie Bow and his band will be performing in the ring.
Brilliant.
And we will also have 4 England internationals in the ring doing a Q&A. So Peter Crouch will host a Q&A with Neil Ruddock, Ray Parler and Paul Merson.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
with those guys.
Yeah, well, Neil Ruddock in the ring, I think anything could go wrong.
Brilliant. So go and check it out, proprojectpromotions.com, and find out more about the event. Grosvenor House Hotel, October the 18th. All the details are there. Graham's going to stick around. I'm going to have a quick chat with Andy Goldstein out in Florida. We want to talk a bit of goalkeeping with Graham, though, in a few moments' time. We're here with our good friends at Toolstation. This summer, shop Toolstation's award-winning Hawksmoor lawnmower range in-store, on the app and online. Next stop, Toolstation. We're going to join our own Andy Goldstein, who's playing in the 2025 Florida Open pool very shortly over in the States. Before that, though, Graham Stack's with us, former Arsenal keeper and goalkeeping coach at a number of clubs. And we're just sort of chatting off air, Graham. Before we let you go, we wanted to talk about the changing face of goalkeeping and coaching keepers and these stories we hear about outfield players being told that they have an opportunity to make a keeper because they're very good with their feet. But you started out as an outfield player. You went to Arsenal as an outfield player.
I did, yeah, that's right. I got spotted playing for my county. I was invited into Arsenal to train at the JVC Centre at Highbury as a midfielder. And then within a month, I was on a Bob Wilson goalkeeping school, and Bob contacted Arsenal, said we found a goalie. He gave him my name. He said, "Was he already? He's a midfielder." And Bob went, "No, he's not. He's going to be a goalie."
What did they spot in you at that stage? What was it?
I would honestly say, look, to be a goalie, Bob wrote a book, didn't he? Crazy. And I think there's definitely an element of that. I think that's kind of probably going out the game a little bit now. I think goalkeepers have become a bit normal. Whereas I think when you would have played Andy, you would have played with a few nutcases.
More than a few.
Just a few. You're right. So, very true. Very true.
Coming back to your point in terms of is it easier to make an outfield player playing goal? I think it's a lot easier to teach a goalie how to become a footballer. But the actual dynamics of a goalkeeper and the profile of a goalkeeper has completely changed. It's slowly becoming to look like an outfield player with gloves on. Agreed. However, keeping the ball at the back of the net will always be an art, and it'll always be something that, in my opinion, is innate. You can't if you ask a winger to go and goal and put his head in front of a ball or in front of someone's feet. I don't think you can't teach that to anyone.
No. That wouldn't come naturally, would it?
No, exactly.
It wouldn't come naturally to someone who's been pulling the gloves on for the first time.
Yeah.
You're right.
And you tend to have to be. You need some real leadership qualities, in my opinion, to be a goalkeeper. You need to be very resilient because it's a position that can chew you up at times if you're not performing well. And you need, the fundamentals of goalkeeping are fairly simple. However, the game has become so complex and a position has developed so much. As a goalkeeping coach now, what you're trying to give goalkeepers within their armoury is so much greater than whatever has been in the past.
Yeah, you can imagine.
They're asking to set attacks up and stuff like that now, and become, you look at starting position of goalie, they're almost playing centre half at times.
They
absolutely.
are. Where are you on the Alisson, Edison, David Raya? Where are you on those guys, Graham?
So I've always looked 3 world-class goalkeepers, goes without saying. Now, I must say, I've always been a huge fan of Edison.
Okay.
You can't argue with what Alisson's done in terms of obviously winning the title more recently than Edison. And I think Raya I was a little bit unsure when Arsenal signed Raya, and I'd seen him at Blackburn, I'd seen him at Brentford. I always liked him, but was never too sure if he fitted that stage of being Arsenal's number one. And I've got to say, I think he's been outstanding. I think he's been absolutely brilliant for the club. Seems to have a great temperament for the game. Some of the saves he's made last year were just out of this world. And that can be the difference in winning a title. Over the course of a season, your goalkeeper will win you X amount of points. And I think he's proved. I wouldn't say he's proved me wrong. I never thought he was never going to get there. I was just a little bit unsure, especially after Ramsdale leaving, who was someone I always liked as a keeper. But I think it's such a tough one to choose from, Andy. I mean, look, I love Edison, and the reason I love Edison is because I'm fascinated with how far he can kick a football. Which is kind
of the passing is quite amazing.
It is.
Graham, it's been lovely to see you. Just again, proprojectpromotions.com. All the details are there of the event. You'll see some of your favourite footballers boxing at the Grosvenor House Hotel, October the 18th. And we wish you all the best with it.
Great, best of luck. Thanks for coming in, pal.
Graham Stack, there, former Arsenal goalkeeper and coach. So we head to Florida now. Andy Goldstein has headed over there. He's taking part in the 2025 Florida Open Pool Championship. And he's managed once again, as he did last time he was out in Atlantic City, to get quite a difficult draw, Andy.
He does like getting a bad draw, doesn't he, this boy?
Good afternoon, Andy.
Hi, And.
Boys, well, good morning to me, actually. Ahead of what could be the biggest upset in sporting history. And I'm just glad that on practice day, when time is valuable, that I'm waiting here listening to you talking about goalkeepers.
Yes.
I appreciate that, boys.
Now, if you've never heard of any pool players, there's a pretty good chance you've heard of Earl Strickland, because it's a bit like if you've never heard of any footballers, you've heard of Pele, and you've managed to draw him in this competition, Andy.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I'm very excited about it. It's a bit nuts. If you're not a Paul fan, like you said, imagine playing John McEnroe on centre court. That's exactly what I've got. Behind me is the match table. This game is live on talkSPORT, by the way, on our YouTube channel from 4 p.m. And Earl the Pearl Strickland, not only is he the game's greatest ever player, but he's 60 years old and he's just still as great as he's ever been. He doesn't miss balls. I was watching some of his play from last year's Florida Open, US Open, UK as well. I didn't play in the UK, but US as well. He doesn't miss balls. And the thing with Earl, the reason I compared him to John McEnroe is he's got that very thin line of one side is a genius, the other side is an absolute lunatic. I'm hoping I get the other side, not the genius side, the lunatic side today.
Oh, and so is the gale force going to get up to full speed and rattle Earl in amongst those early frames? And come on, what you got in store?
Well, I think. Do you know what, Ant? It's the early couple of frames is what it's all about.
Right.
The tables are incredibly fast. The pockets are really, really tight. He's not a fan of this style of pool, apparently. Right. He likes 10 ball and run out pool as well. This is what he was saying yesterday. But it's all about the first couple of racks, if I'm being honest. And if I can put him off by maybe drinking while he's down on a shot, or picking up my cue when I'm in his eye line and put him off, that's my aim today. If I get the first couple of racks under my belt, you never know. It could be a shock, and it would be probably the greatest, not 9-ball, sporting upset of this century, because never before we have a 3-time champion of the world and the game's greatest ever player at anything get beaten by the UK's favourite broadcaster. It just wouldn't happen in any other sport.
What is it, and best of how many, or what, first two? How many frames? What you got to get to?
First, it's the first to 9, the best of 17.
Right.
So, all jokes aside, if I'm going to get, I don't want to get beat.
Yeah.
If I'm going to get beat, if I can get 2 racks or 3 racks on the board, that would be some achievement.
Yeah,
that really will be. But I'm in to win. I've not travelled for 10 hours in business class just to get beat in the first round, right? I'm here to win it.
Many other Brits over there, Andy, taking part?
Yeah, there's a few. Jason Shaw is one of the highly ranked players over here. So I haven't seen him yet, but he was talking about playing golf at some stage today, and I thought, well, I might still be in the competition, so what makes you think I'll be ready for golf? But he's here. He genuinely did say that.
Right.
But you can... I was going to ask Ryan to pan round. I didn't even see... This doesn't work well on radio, but I'll explain it. There's a big screen in the auditorium as well, and they're just putting the names up of all the matches. So we'll have... I think it's like 3 sessions today. When I start is 11 o'clock, and then after that, and there's about 3 or 4 rounds today. And the way it's set up in here, it's a little bit like Wimbledon, the open course, where you pay your money at the door and you walk around, there's music pumping out, there's people walking from sort of table to table. There you go, you can see it beautifully. Thanks, Ryan, for that. So it's not like snooker, where it's traditionally incredibly quiet and you open a packet of crisps and people start screaming. There's lots of noise here, there's music booming, and hopefully all of that will add up to, as I say, Earl the Pearl Strickland coming up against the Gale Force Goldstein, live on talkSPORT today at 4 p.m. I literally cannot wait. I'm like a child in a candy shop.
Fantastic.
Genuinely
Andy, good
amazing.
Luck.
Best of luck, Ant.
Yeah, good luck. Hope you get
Thank you, boys.
the job done.
Thank you,
There's
lads.
Andy Goldstein there over in Florida, and as he said, you can head over to the talkSPORT YouTube channel today from 4 p.m. and tune in to Drive to see how, it says how badly Andy gets on. That's a bit harsh.
Harsh, isn't it?
I mean, he is playing one of the world's best players.
I don't think he's going to... Do you think he'll say just before the game, oh, how much are we playing for?
Yeah.
That's what he's got to do.
Well, I was just thinking, if
Psych him
you're
out.
one of those fans who comes in like the open courts and wondering, it must be very tempting not to go down and sort of put a couple of quarters on the table. Like, I'll be up now, winner stays on or something. But anyway, see how Andy gets on. There'll be regular updates in Drive, and you can watch it all unfold on the talkSPORT YouTube channel as well. Still to come this afternoon, we're going to talk a little bit of Chelsea, one of Andy's old clubs, of course. We're going to talk about training ground bust-ups. Roberto De Zerbi, formerly of Brighton, now of Marseille, got involved with one of his players at the training ground. Andy's seen a few. He'll have some war stories for us. We'll talk F1, but we've got the clips of the month. We're going to ask you to vote for them, and we'll play you the best 6 from last month in a few moments' time.
wondered why Erling Haaland scores a hat-trick instead of just 3 goals? Why Darwin Núñez is said to have missed a sitter rather than just missing a really easy shot? Or why on earth defenders are said to park the bus? Let's break down some of our favourite football cliches. First, let's talk hat-tricks. The term comes from cricket back in the 1800s. Any bowler who managed to get 3 successive wickets used to be rewarded with a hat from their club. Next up, if you see a skillful tackle, an athletic save or a 40-yard screamer, you might say these things are out the top drawer. That's because back in Victorian times, if you had wealth, valuable stuff, you kept it in the top drawer of your dresser, so loaded families became known as top drawer. Remember the last time your team left you feeling as sick as a parrot? The image of the sick bird is thought to come from a classic British comedy moment, Monty Python's Dead Parrot sketch, but the phrase was first used in football by Liverpool defender Phil Thompson. He supposedly said it after Liverpool lost to Nottingham Forest in the 1978 League Cup final. Forest won thanks to a controversial penalty given away by a Thompson foul, even though it was actually outside the box. Poor guy said he felt sick as a parrot afterwards. Is there anything more embarrassing than a nutmeg in football? Weird name, but it's actually related to the trading of nutmeg, the spice. It was so expensive back in the day that corrupt exporters used to try and mix in a bit of wood in with the nutmeg to cut their costs. The term soon became slang. If you were nutmegged, it was because the person you were buying off had pulled a fast one on you. Jose Mourinho brought a lot of things to English football, and seems like one of those was the phrase "park the bus." He used it after his Chelsea side had been held to a goalless draw by Spurs in 2004. Tottenham had been extremely defensive, not trying to score, but making sure Chelsea couldn't either. Mourinho actually said, "They brought the bus and left the bus in front of the goal, as we say in my country." Finally, another phrase that actually comes from cricket. Footballers are said to have missed a sitter if they miss an easy chance. In the late 19th century, it was used in cricket to describe a moment when a fielder failed to take a catch which was so easy they should have been able to catch it sitting down. So there you have it, some of your favourite footballing cliches. And if you think this video is all over, well, it is now.
The week on talkSPORT with Toolstation. Next stop, Toolstation.
Yes, it's the best of the clips of the week from July, so effectively the clips of the month. It's what we do, Andy, is we ask the listeners on X to go there and vote for their favourites. We'll have 2 semi-finals, 6 clips, 3 in each semi-final.
Great.
And then they take that down to 2, and the best 2 go into the final. And just before 4 o'clock, we'll play the winner.
Do you know, 3:30, Paul, on a Friday, when your clips of the week, you normally have your clips of the week.
Yeah.
I've actually pulled in and I'm sort of on the drive in my car, and because I haven't heard them yet, I have to sit in the car and I have to wait to hear them all. My missus looking out the window, what's he doing sat in the car? You know, and I'm still sat there waiting to hear them because I love them. They're great.
You've rarely featured.
I know. Well,
you've rarely featured.
I've been involved in one or two with a few down the years.
We have maybe look. I think the team have lined something up, and you can stand your corner and tell us what went on in that particular. But anyway, let's play the clips of the month first. So you go to X once you've heard all these and vote for your favourite. We'll kick you off with a moose. Keeping us in touch with Euro 2025 in the game between Spain and Belgium.
Van Havermaet headed home from 4 yards out. Spain, though, weren't to be denied a half-time lead. From a corner of their own, Pina swung the ball to the far post.
Sorry, what was that, Moose?
Pina swung the ball to the far post.
I don't remember her playing.
No.
That was a name that definitely would have stood out.
You'd have thought so, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I think I know what happened there. He just said it too quickly. So there we are. That's the Moose. Of course, we also had Wimbledon last month. So the final words, Alan Pardew took the opportunity to give us some quirky pronunciations of some tennis greats.
And I've seen them all come and go. Agassi, Becker, Borg, Nastase, Federer, Djokovic.
Yeah. Sorry, Al. Can we have those again?
Agassi, Becker, Borg, Nastase, Federer, Djokovic.
Federer
and Djokovic.
Djokovic.
That famous doubles duo.
Yeah, Federer, he got a little bit boissy there from Only Fools, didn't he? And Agassi.
Yeah.
I mean, who was Agassi? Anyway, good old Pards. So number 3, staying with the tennis, we were shocked to hear the betting expert Simon Clare say this.
Bencic, the Swiss lady who was world number 4, went off and had a daughter. I watched her actually on court number 1 on Monday.
Blimey, give her a bit of privacy. The woman's having a baby. Disgraceful.
Oh, dear.
Naomi,
very good.
Avert your gaze. Also in July, Breakfast had a dolphin expert. You can tell it's the close season. Had a dolphin expert on the show. And if you listen carefully, you can hear just how much of an expert she was.
Well, Sarah, look, it's really, really great to talk to you. Thank you. And keep us in touch with Jack the Flipper because we are fascinated by it,
Tell him
Sarah.
to behave
Thank
himself.
Yeah.
Hang on. Can we play that again?
Yeah,
she
was
does.
Jack there?
No, it does. She actually speaks dolphin. Let's hear her again. What was that, Flipper? I mean, that's amazing, isn't it?
Brilliant.
How can a woman who's an expert, there we are, on dolphins laugh like a dolphin? So, number 5, and you do know it is the Premier League off-season when Jason Cundy and Jamie O'Hara are set a Tudor history quiz.
How many wives did King Henry VIII have?
8.
No.
6.
6.
Go on.
Can you name them?
Anne Boleyn. Anne. There was Anne of Cleves.
Mate, you know this.
Jane Austen. Jane Austen's another one.
Poor old Jane Austen. Jane Austen had her head chopped
off with her head.
I think she was one who survived and was actually born 100 years later or so. And finally, it's Carry On TalkSport featuring Talk Radio's Alex Phillips and our very own Jim White.
Is someone like Nigel just not really fitting anymore? I mean, Churchill might have got away with guzzling glasses of champagne before he even got out of bed with his massive stogie.
Our sympathy goes out to referee Joe, who's a few doors down, but far enough away to take about 3/4 of an hour to come through here and stiffen me.
We still don't know what stiffen me means. We think it must be a Scottishism, but we don't really know. But anyway, what was your favourite? Was it the Moose and that interesting pronunciation of one of the Spain players? Was it Simon? No, was it Pards and his pronunciations of the great tennis players? Was it Simon Clare watching someone have a baby on centre court? Was it the dolphin expert on Breakfast? Was it Jane Austen as one of Henry VIII's wives? Or was it Carry On Talk Sport? So if you go to @TSHNJ, TSHANDJ, and you'll find the Hawksbee and Jacobs feed. Our 2 semi-finals are already up, so you can vote for your favourite. So, we've also got some votes coming in already. So @TSHNJ, and then around 3:30, we'll have our 2 finalists, and then just before 4 o'clock, when we'll have Drive for you with Natalie Sawyer and Gabby Agbon-Lahore. We'll play you the winner. Did you have a favourite there, Ed?
I did have a favourite. Can I say it?
I think you can. You shouldn't have to influence it.
Yeah, Simon. I liked Simon's one.
You did like Simon Clare.
Yeah, I did. I thought that was very good.
Yeah, that was a weird one. So, okay, what was your favourite? Do let us know @TSHNJ. At the moment, I can tell you from the early votes coming in, Pards and the tennis players is doing well. Yeah. And as always, a bit of smut with the TalkSport listeners. The Carry On is doing rather well. Probably your most famous clip of all time was used to have a movie section on the show. You regular movie section with God bless him, Ambrose, who used to do the movie section on the show, would come on. And I don't know who you were on with this day, but you did have a question about a film that had just come out, and here we are.
Good morning. Now, snakes on a plane. I've seen some posters of Samuel L. Jackson with this snake, and so now tell us what this one's all about.
Yeah.
I mean,
Snakes on a Plane. What's all that about?
Yeah,
wasn't the clue in the name?
Perhaps
Andy?
the clue is in the question in the name. Sorry. I wonder, perhaps, Paul, if it was one of those bizarre films.
Yeah.
With it, well, clearly it was, but there wasn't necessarily about. After all, we don't normally get snakes on planes.
No,
do
we don't. No, look, it's a fair question in isolation, but when you do know what it's about, it's slightly different.
Correct. Yeah. But I do remember that one. That's a good few years ago now. Goodness.
Yeah, we sounded a lot younger then, didn't we? Yeah, fantastic. So anyway, at TSH&J, go and vote for your favourite clip. Say the two finalists just after 3:30. And then we'll bring you the winner a little bit later on. We're going to talk a bit of F1 next. Are you into your F1, Andy?
I do like it.
Yeah?
I do like it. Sometimes it gets a little complex, all the technicalities of it, but I do love it. I've always enjoyed motorsport. I ride motorbikes, so I've always enjoyed.
You still do that?
I haven't got a bike currently.
Yeah, you pass your test and everything. Big bikes, is it?
I've had Harleys and Gold Wings and all of that sort of stuff. And I love them, Paul. Really love them. And I'm actually I might be getting a Royal Enfield anytime soon.
Oh wow, really?
They've got these sort of retro new stuff that's retro looking new bikes. Look a bit like a Bonneville. Going down that road.
Very nice.
And so I'm quite partial to my bikes.
All the leathers, Andy.
All the leathers.
You got the
and of course, as you do, you see when you convince your wife you want to have a motorbike and you get all the gear.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got to get all them the gear as well for when they come out on it.
Yeah.
And of course, so I bought my wife all the leathers, the boots, the proper helmet, the community, so as I could talk to her on the back.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And I got the tap on the shoulder from her after about 3 miles. I don't like it. I don't like it. Can I get off? No, them leathers have just cost me a right few quid.
So look out for them on eBay at a discounted price. So yeah, we're going to chat to James Allen. It's all going wrong at the moment for Lewis Hamilton. We've even got Bernie Ecclestone saying he should retire. He should certainly have a break from the sport. Is that a bit excessive? James Allen from motorsport.com is going to join us to talk about that and what is going on at the moment with Lewis Hamilton. Of course, that was the clips of the month, thanks to Tool Station. And we'll be talking F1 and a lot more football before 4 o'clock when Natalie Sawyer and Gabby Agbonlahor take over with Drive.
Clips of the week on talkSPORT with Tool Station. Next stop, Tool Station.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee and Andy Townsend here on talkSPORT. We take a break from the football momentarily and the other stories of the day. We are coming back to transfers, and we're talking about training ground bust-ups after Roberto De Zerbi kicks off, and lots more besides. But you'll be aware, of course, some comments at the qualifying last week of Lewis Hamilton saying that he was useless. And, I mean, look, in the heat of the moment, you know, you can have all that self-doubt and feel very down on yourself, but didn't have the best of times in the race. And subsequently, there's been an awful lot of talk about what's going on, and some comments he's made around maybe what's going on at Ferrari are quite interesting. Now, Bernie Ecclestone, former head of F1, has said maybe it's time for him to retire, to take a break from it.
See, the thing is, as a footballer, Paul, I know I'm going to speak to James, as a player, you get to that point where, you know, the legs go.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you can't get around the park like you once used to. And it becomes quite obvious to you and to a lot of people watching that now is the time to actually say that's enough. Whereas, you know, for an F1 driver, it's kind of slightly different in that respect.
I mean, this is the thing. It's knowing the... I mean, anyway, let's bring in James at this point. James Allen from motorsport.com joins us. Hi, James.
Hi, James.
Oh, have we got James? I can see him. I think he may have just frozen.
I think he has for a split second.
Yeah, we'll try and get James back in a minute.
It's often been it's like boxers. You know, boxers are always compelled. Sometimes you feel to just have that extra, that one.
But it's not just the athlete. It's the car. There's so much more that sort of feeds into it, isn't there? And the situation at the team. He's gone at this brand new team with high expectations and was really excited, and there's clear frustrations. And as he said, he's kind of hinted at there's stuff going on
in the background
within the team that he's not elucidated on, which is a bit strange.
And because his teammate is flying, Paul.
Yeah, and so you know it's very hard to blame the car.
You can't exactly point to the car
when the other man's car is doing better than you. So have we got James back? Are we struggling a bit to try and? Oh, we got James. I think he is there. Hello, James.
Oh, Andy, can you hear me?
Yeah, we've got you. No problem. Thank you for that. Yeah, we were just saying that Andy was you may have heard him talking about that when a player knows maybe when their legs have gone. I mean, I don't know if this is the equivalent with Lewis, but we said so much more feeds into it. It's the team, it's the car, it's everything. Do you see any sort of lessening in his qualities purely as a driver?
I think it's a really interesting situation, this one. I mean, we talked about this going into the season, that Lewis turned 40 in January, and there aren't too many drivers who've, done well in Formula One beyond the age of 40. Back in the day, it was a bit more common in the 50s, but since the cars became so much more physical to drive, it is unusual, especially at the very highest level. I think the alarming thing for Hamilton is his performance relative to his teammate. Ferrari have not got the best car this year by any means, although Leclerc, his teammate, stuck the Ferrari on pole position at the last Grand Prix in Hungary. And I think that's what made Lewis so despondent and led to the comments that he made, that saying, basically it keeps happening, it's always me, I'm useless, and maybe Ferrari should replace me, which is, real serious negative thinking from an athlete, and extraordinary words really that really resonated. And he does get on downers like this sometimes, when he feels he's let the side down.
And what about?
And I think The problem he's got is the field is so tight in Formula One at the moment that even though he's only a few tenths of a second off his teammate, that's enough to put sort of 10 cars between him and Leclerc, and he's just not had the results. I mean, this is the first time in his whole Formula One career he's gone 14 races into a championship without scoring a single podium. Yeah. I mean, it's unheard of for Hamilton. So is he past it? It's hard to say. He just doesn't like these cars. He doesn't like this generation of cars. And so the big question then is, will he hang on for next season when there's a big rule change and hope that this new generation of cars that's coming in next year will suit his driving style a bit more than this generation has?
How significant is what Bernie Ecclestone said? I mean, I take it he's still a voice in the sport, even at 94, but for him to say he'd be cheating himself if he decided to continue and should have retired a while ago, he said he's very talented, but like a lot of leading sports personalities, when they reach the top, there's only one way to go, he said. Oh, I think we've got another. I think we've had
another freeze there.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
he's either that or he's thinking of it very intently. James.
But again, Paul, and the team are in that difficult situation, the Ferrari team, where of course they want Lewis, all his expertise in the way that they set the car up and all his brilliance and everything that he's been through, experience, you name it. But primarily he's in there to win races, isn't he?
Sure, yeah. Especially in a team like Ferrari, with the expectations high. I think we got James back. James, I was asking you about the Bernie Ecclestone comments. How relevant are they? How will they play, you think, in the sport?
Yeah, sorry about the line. I'm not quite sure what's going on here because I can hear you fine.
Oh,
Bernie likes a controversial comment, as you know, and always has done. But I mean, it is a genuine point that he raises. Is Lewis perhaps on the downward slope? And everything, like Andy was saying at the beginning of football, their legs start to go, they don't cover the ground as much, especially the speed of the modern game football. I guess it's even more acute than it was 10, 15 years ago. With the Grand Prix drivers, I think it's the speed of reactions. It's the physical decline. It's your hand-eye coordination and those sort of things. So there's an older driver in the field than him, which is Alonso, and he's still doing well. But then again, he's not up against a top driver in the other car, and he's not fighting for a world championship in a race-winning car. So, it's possible that Hamilton isn't at peak form anymore, and I think this year is just making it it's just being really, really hard for him to get a gauge on where he is, because he just doesn't feel this car. It's a bit like a person riding a horse. It's a relationship between a driver and a car. Is you have to feel confidence in it, and Lewis's problem, he doesn't feel confidence in this car, and I think that's the real issue. So let's be optimistic and hope that he'll start next season, but if it carries on like this into the beginning of next year, I think there will be some real questions to be answered there.
How James, does a racing driver get himself out of that period where it just doesn't seem to be happening for him? How do they get out of that?
Well, the thing about Hamilton, Andy, is he's got so much experience that his sort of database of hacks and fixes is enormous. So if it was a case that he could do something with the car that would make it sort of suit his driving style and fit better the way he wants to drive the car, then he would be doing it. I think this is just a very, very difficult car to drive, particularly on the limit in qualifying, which is when it's low fuel. It's like Usain Bolt doing the 100 meters. Everything's got to be absolutely perfect. It's not like the Mo Farah long distance thing, which is more like a Grand Prix where you've got more time. You build a rhythm. You can work your way through the field. When everything's absolutely on the edge in qualifying, it's 100% a maximum performance. That car is really, really difficult to drive compared to, say, the McLaren that Lando Norris is winning races in at the moment. And so I think the answer to your question is I think if they'd known how to do that, they'd have done it by now, because you're 14 races in. And so I think the next 10 rounds of this championship are going to be really painful for Lewis.
It's going to be interesting when they're back, what happens. But for now, James, we'll catch up with you soon. Appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Thanks, James.
Cheers, guys.
There we are. This James Allen from motorsport.com on the latest with Lewis Hamilton. Training ground bust-ups. We're going to dust off a few old war stories from Andy that he's witnessed over the years, because Roberto De Zerbi has kicked off with one of his players at training. Call your agent, he was shouting to him after a drill that he wasn't happy with. Perils are taking too many touches in training under De Zerbi. And we'll look at the very latest in the transfer market with Ben Jacobs, including the latest on Benjamin Sesko, that improved deal that's gone in from Manchester United. Talks are ongoing. Is he going to choose them or Newcastle or somebody else maybe? We'll chat to Ben a little bit later on.
Shin pads are a footballer's best friend. Even if players like Jack Grealish do wear such small ones you can barely even see them. But what's the story with shin pads, and are there actually any rules on how big they should be? It all started with cricket, actually. Cricketers had been wearing shin pads since the 1700s. It was thanks to this guy that shin protection made its way over to football. Meet Samuel Widdowson. He was a cricketer and a footballer. He played for Nottingham Forest back in the late 1800s, and he wanted a way to protect his legs from nasty tackles. Naturally, his mind drifted to his other favourite sport, where players had been wearing these pads for a century. Story goes, Widdowson cut up his cricket pads and popped them on before taking to the footy pitch. His Nottingham Forest team then began wearing them from 1887, and the first known use of them in a match was in 1894, in a match between Newcastle and the then Woolwich Arsenal. Eventually, FIFA clocked on that this kind of protection was pretty important for footballers. And so, in 1990, basically 100 years after Widdowson first put them on, shin pads were made compulsory. It became part of Law 4 of IFAB. That's the body responsible for setting the laws of the game internationally. But the law doesn't actually specify anything about measurements of shin pads. It just says they must be made of a suitable material and be of an appropriate size to provide reasonable protection. It's really vague, even though there have been calls for it to be changed. But for now, that's why Grealish and co can still get away with these ones, which are no bigger than a credit card and which seem to offer little to no protection whatsoever.
Paul Hawksbee, Andy Townsend here on talkSPORT. Gabby Agbonlahor's alongside Natalie Sawyer at 4 o'clock with another busy drive time show. We're talking transfers in this half hour. We played you the clips of the month with Tool Station earlier on. We have our 2 finalists. We'll have a chance for you to vote for your finalist in a few moments' time, and just before 4 o'clock we'll play the winner. Andy, the 2 that have made the final are Carry On talkSPORT with Alex Phillips and Jim White.
It was good. It was very
good. And Alan Pardew's pronunciations of those tennis players.
Yes.
So as we said, in a few moments' time we'll have your 2 finalists.
Great.
And you can. Oh, it's up there now. So go and vote for your favourite for the Clips of the month of July with Tool Station. And we'll play the winner just before 4 o'clock. Now, a bit of footage that may have touched the nerve with a few Brighton players potentially of Roberto De Zerbi now at Marseille, the manager there, falling out with Ismail Kone, who was played at Watford back in the day. He wasn't. We watched it earlier on, Andy, didn't we? He wasn't happy with the drill they were doing. He felt it was taking too many touches.
Yes,
but it must have been more to it than that. I mean, you know, the reaction was. So we're looking at some of the footage. If you're on Connect TV or YouTube, you can see it. And he got very upset with him. Told him to leave the training pitch because he wasn't happy with what he'd seen in training.
Yeah.
The player went back, had a word with him. The coaches had to get between them. And it didn't quite get physical, but it wasn't far off. I mean, I imagine these are fairly common. I mean, they're fairly common between manager and player, or is it normally player and player?
I mean, it does happen quite a lot.
Yeah.
I think, and again, Paul, these sort of fly-on-the-wall docos now that we're seeing where you've got unique access into dressing rooms, training grounds, etc. I even like the Tom Brady Birmingham one the other day, some of it does start to feel a little contrived.
Right, yeah.
And that all of a sudden they are very aware that the cameras are around 24/7. And Roberto De Zerbi, look, is that sort of emotional coach.
Yeah.
I mean, again, some of the stuff there that he's doing with the player, it looks like he loves himself, De Zerbi, a little bit too much for me. If he was at a Coldplay concert and the camera panned round, he'd probably be hugging himself. But he's clearly not happy with his player, and he lets him know in no uncertain terms, tells the player to clear off in, and then on the way over, as you're saying, he's telling him to get his agent on the phone as well. So, but they do happen. I've known a good few over the years. Look, niggles during the week, Monday to Friday, happening all the time, because in a 5-a-side, in an 8-a-side, whatever you're doing, someone catches you on the ankle accidentally.
Yeah.
No one's wearing pads.
I'm sure.
So you're not got your pads on. Your socks are rolled down. Someone catches you on the ankle, and you feel it's a bit unnecessary. Then there's always a little bit of a look.
Yeah.
For a split second. And I've seen loads of those descend into, like a bit of a face-off.
Yeah.
Not too many where you've got guys actually swinging for each other. It has happened.
Yeah.
I've seen, back in my Southampton days, Mark Wright pushed Laurie McMenemy in the bath.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Actually pushed him into the bath.
He went in, big Laurie.
With his suit on.
Yeah. And Mark Dennis and Chris Nichol, God rest Chris, but Mark and Chris had I think it was in the press, and Chris accused Mark of being the one to leak it or something. The next thing, Chris is like the manager. He's actually hit Mark.
Wow.
And believe you me, Mark is not one you would want to mess about with.
No.
But that happened.
Did that make the press at the time? What happened, or did that stay in the dressing room?
I think it stayed in for probably a fair old while. I think Mark actually on the back of that. I think Mark, who was a terrific player, Mark Dennis. On the back of that, he actually left Southampton.
Wow.
And big Ron and Dalian Atkinson. Ron absolutely loved Dalian as a player. When he had him at Sheffield Wednesday and Villa, he loved him. Absolutely loved him. We played at Chelsea one day, and I think we drew the game 1 each. And Ron had already given Dalian, I think, a little bit of a rollicking at half-time about, come on, I need a bit more from you, liven up a bit.
Yeah.
Come on, I need more energy, more effort and everything else. And anyway, we got this 1-1 draw. And when we come in after the game, Ron said, well done, you 10. Just like saying well done to the 10 of us.
Yeah.
And of course, Dalian very quickly said, what do you mean 10? Responded to that. And then from there, that descended into the two of them going hammer and tong.
Really?
And everyone had to dive into
getting physical.
Oh yeah,
wow.
Punches being thrown. Oh yeah, absolutely,
wow,
going for it. And it does. does from time to time happen. A lot of the training ground stuff, as I said, is usually calmed down pretty quickly, but there can be a bit of a hangover. And also, Paul, a lot of guys out, 20 plus lads in a dressing room.
Yeah. They're not all going to get on.
Don't all get on.
No.
Don't all get on. And it only takes someone just to catch you a little bit awkward sometimes in training. Might be an accidental, or was it? And you start having a little look. And so, it can happen. It can sort of spill out of control quite quickly, that.
You were telling us earlier on that Big Ron came in during the game, and another one of our presenters here.
Yes, Dino.
Tell us what happened.
That was at Oldham. We were at Oldham. I don't think we were playing particularly. Mind you, Joe, I think it was Joe Raw's Oldham team at Boundary Park, Paul. Let me tell you.
They're a good side.
They were a
was
good
that
team.
was that still the plastic pitch then as well, or not?
That's a good shout. Was it the plastic? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But they were a very handy team on their own patch there.
Yeah.
And we were getting beat, and he was having a bit of a go at Dean Saunders, Big Ron. And at half time, when he came in, he was furious. And of course, the tray of tea, cups of tea on this tray, they all went flying up in the air, and it all went over Dino's suit that was hanging on his peg. And as you can best imagine,
Right. Oh, you all laughing? I take it.
Well, Ron was really going for it.
Yeah.
So but.
Stifle the laughter.
I was looking down at me, started doing my laces up again, so you don't catch me laughing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and then, of course, second half, we went out for the second half. Dino scores after about 10 minutes, and he's immediately heading over towards Big Ron to give him a mouthful back. But it does happen. It does happen. And seeing that De Zerbi one, that sort of thing, would happen a lot where coaches are having a go at their players, but actually telling them to clear off in, and by the way, call your agent as well. I think that's a bit much.
Yeah.
And it feels a little bit like that, with the cameras rolling, it just felt a little contrived to me.
Yeah. We never got around to talking about Chelsea. We'll do that very quickly because there's a story today suggesting that they're looking to have a cull. They're selling some players off. We saw Kieran Dewsbury all go yesterday. There'll be other players. Ugachukwu, I think, has gone, hasn't he? And Broziers looks like he's off. But they've got, they say they've got a 47-man squad. But that's not, I mean, I know for a fact that Spurs have got to trim their squad. They've got far too many players at the moment. We've heard Pep saying he wants to work with a small squad.
Yeah.
Squads have got so much bigger than, again, in your playing days, haven't they?
Correct, they have. Yeah, the coaches don't like 28, 30 to work with.
Yeah. Because you're always going to be disappointing someone.
Disappointing people every minute of the day. Someone's knocking on your door and about, you told me you was going to give me minutes, you didn't, da-da-da-da. So they would much rather work with that 18, 20 sort of bracket.
Yeah. Trouble is, you need bigger squads because of the amount of games you're playing if you're in Europe, and you pick up injuries, all those they discovered last year.
Yeah. But the sort of 45 and 47 man squads now, Paul, I think a lot of clubs have realised that there is a business to be had outside of the senior 11 that are playing more often than not in the first team. Because for years football had lots of young players that never really got a game, and they were just allowed to go out the door for nothing.
Yeah.
And so I think all of a sudden our football has realised that there is a market for these good young players that aren't good enough to play for Spurs or Chelsea, that there is also good money to be made on those from a purely business point of view for the club. So yeah, I think we're in this. I would think it's quite difficult, Paul, at the moment, being a 16-year-old at a club.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be straightforward, and a parent of a 16-year-old at the moment at a club, because you're never quite sure of the club's intentions, what they want for your son or daughter, because is he one that they want to keep and play and improve, or is he one that they're looking to sell for a few quid?
The thing is, as Andy Jacobs has said a few times, quite a lot of they've had top coaching at a great academy, working with good coaches, playing with good players.
Yep.
And many of them have gone on to have good careers. Probably, they're not going to have careers at Chelsea. Maybe they know that quite early on. But they've gone on to have good pro careers. From the club's point of view, and we're seeing like Amari Hutchinson at the moment.
Yes.
There'll be a sell on there from their point of view.
There will.
He's going to pop up somewhere else. So they've had lots and lots of players that that go on to have good careers elsewhere.
Yeah.
And they've had all that sort of background and support.
Well, when I think of last season, Morgan Rogers for Villa was terrific. He's sensational, you know. And again, another young lad I think that was at City, and that they've let out the door. Look, Cole Palmer, obviously they sold Cole Palmer for good money, but when you see the sort of levels that he's been producing, Cole Palmer, over the last 12, 18 months, you wonder why on earth he was allowed to leave. So they don't always get it right.
No,
that's the one thing with younger players. When someone has to make a decision on younger players, someone at the club, it's not always the likes of Pep and the first team manager or coach. Someone is having to make a call on some of these younger kids, whether they think he's the right profile for their club moving forward or not. They don't always get those calls right.
No, absolutely not. Well, we're going to look at transfers in a moment, and Ben Jacobs is back. He joined us earlier on to break that news about Benjamin Sesko and United's offer, which is lower than Newcastle, but the word is that the player may prefer a move to Old Trafford. So we'll pick that up with Ben and some of the other stuff. We played you the clips of the month with Talk Station a little bit earlier on, and the two finalists were Carry On Talk Sport with Jim White and Alex Phillips from Talk Radio. But Alan Pardew is in the lead, quite a healthy lead. I mean, if you feel that you want a clips of the month, you want to hear the Carry On again, you better go to at TSH&J on Twitter, X, whatever you prefer. But at the moment, we're going to hear Pards again just before Natalie and Gabby at 4 with Drive, 71%. Anyway, you enjoyed that one.
I did enjoy it. Yeah. It was good. Yeah.
So we'll have a bit of that in a minute, all being well. Before that, though, transfers. And Ben Jacobs is back for a second hit this afternoon because he did join us on that breaking news around Benjamin Sesko. He rejoins us now. Hi, Ben.
Afternoon, gents. It's a busy day, isn't it?
Yeah. No more developments since then, I take it.
Well, I think there will be developments. That's the point. So regardless of Benjamin Sesko's decision, Newcastle United are not hanging around. They want clarity and they're not waiting for Benjamin Sesko. So you've got two things at play here. Number one, Manchester United entering the race formally with a bid that totals €85 million. And Manchester United's belief is that Benjamin Sesko is leading towards joining them. And my understanding is that terms are agreed with Manchester United in terms of the financials, and Manchester United would not have bid without encouragement. Yet, as is very common, players can agree terms, financially speaking, anyway, with more than one club. So, believe it or not, the financial terms are in place with Newcastle United, and they've been very aggressive on the club-to-club side to try and get a scenario where their offer is better than Manchester United's, in the hope last night when they improved their offer that Manchester United would back off. What's actually happened is Manchester United have seen urgency. They've realised that they've got to move quickly, and now both clubs are confident of agreeing a deal with Leipzig, whatever final number that may be, and it all comes down to Benjamin Sesko. If he sticks to his original preference, he's going to join Manchester United. But Newcastle have been very aggressive in the last 24 hours, including sending their co-owner, Jamie Rubin, to hold face-to-face talks. So this is a fascinating saga. And my expectation is that we will have clarity at the latest within the next 24 hours.
Wow. I mean, they're clearly working very hard on this. And if they don't get their man, what next, Ben? I don't know if they've got other irons in the fire, other players they're linked with, but to find somebody that could step in and play instead of Isak in that main man role, if they do let him go, could be very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with Alexander Isak, the thing that unlocks it is finding that replacement. If nothing unlocks the Isak exit, then Newcastle are going to keep saying not for sale. And this is why Liverpool's position is they're not inclined to just bid and get into a cycle of rejections. So it can be true that Liverpool are not bidding at the moment and Liverpool haven't walked away. What will make Liverpool return to the table? Some kind of Isak replacement. If one doesn't come, then do Liverpool say we were never going to bid because there was never any chance of getting the player? And I think this is why a lot of Liverpool fans, if Sesko goes to Manchester United, will think, wait a minute, we might have to actually delay that Isak to Liverpool celebration by either a few weeks or maybe even a few windows. And this is where Newcastle's ability to find some kind of replacement and spend some potentially Isak money is going to be really important. I think Johan Wissa remains a concrete possibility. That's the first thing to say. But they'll want one more as well. Ollie Watkins, Nicholas Jackson have both been discussed internally. So it's not like, from Newcastle's point of view, it was Benjamin Sesko or nobody, but they've clearly put all their time, all their budget, all their energy into trying to get the Sesko deal over the line. And if he goes to Manchester United, then Liverpool will have to continue, at least for a few more days or weeks, playing the waiting game.
Yeah, Newcastle won't want to hang around, Ben, will they, with regards to Sesko? If I think it damages their own credibility and reputation if they're just feel like they're hanging in there, but the player ultimately wants to go to United.
Yeah, I think, as you know, by being a player, it's never so clear cut that the player says, I don't want Newcastle. It's more, I do want Manchester United. And that doesn't mean that he's not also open to Newcastle, because the terms are both acceptable from each offer. One in Newcastle's got Champions League football, great city, amazing fan base, ambitious project in its formative stages. Imagine if they get back-to-back Champions League football, the project in terms of the financial flex within PSR could really take off. And before you know it, you think, I'm part of something very, very special. Manchester United actually, and ironically, despite their rich history, might need a bit more time to get where Newcastle are now on the football field, but there's the allure, there's the brand, there's the fact that they're likely to have some kind of European football next season, and their wage bill is bigger. So it might actually come down to the fact Manchester United have just offered Česko a bigger weekly wage. And this is why I think it's not a case of accepting Man U and never wanting to go to Newcastle or vice versa. He's open to both projects, but he's leaning towards Manchester United. And my expectation is still that if both clubs get a yes from Leipzig, that Česko at this stage, as has always been feared by Newcastle, is more likely to pick Manchester United.
Now, Ben, we've been hearing about these bids by Everton for Tyler Dibbling and a valuation of around 50 million from Southampton's point of view that Everton feel is a bit steep. It'd be interesting to know how Tyler Dibbling and his family and his agent feel about that at the moment, because those sort of relationships can sour, saying I'm being priced out of a move. Do we know his attitude towards a move to Everton?
Tyler Dibbling was very open to a move to Everton, and that would strengthen on the right side, but he's quite versatile. And yet Southampton is sticking to a very high asking price. It was believed they wanted 40 million fixed plus add-ons, and yet when Southampton engaged with Everton around that number, there was a counter made that said it's got to be £45 million fixed and 5 million in add-ons. And I think 45 was about as high as Everton are prepared to go. So unless the player agitates for a move, or alternatively later in the window the price drops, the expectation is that Everton are now prepared to walk away. They're looking at other targets. I wouldn't say the deal is 100% dead, but what I would say is that Everton have not matched the counter, and they're looking at other options before assessing whether they're going to return for another bid for Tyler Dibbling. He was definitely keen on that move. There's other options. He actually had the ability to go to Leipzig a little bit earlier in the window. Few other Premier League clubs historically, like Newcastle United, even Manchester United, have looked at him. Dan Ashworth, when he was at Newcastle, was really pushing for Tyler Dibbling. Jason Wilcox at Man United knows him really well. So none of these clubs have made their move, and partially it's because of the price, but you never know in the window. We might still get an Everton return. We might still get one of these other clubs coming in if the number drops. And then it's just worth noting on Everton as well, it's not just the right side. There's a chance that they still go for Jack Grealish on loan. I was even told the other day that Raheem Sterling might be a possibility on a loan with an option to buy. So Everton are going to be busy between now and the close of the window.
Interesting, Ben. Thanks very much as always.
Thank you, Ben.
Cheers, guys.
Ben Jacobs there with the latest on the transfer window. There'll be more transfer chat tonight in the Transfer Insiders with Nick Bright and Dan Bardell from 7 o'clock. And I'm sure Natalie and Gabby will be keeping an eye on what's going on and that Benjamin Česko situation. The Clips of the Month winner. We have it, and we're going to play you the winner again. Thanks to everybody who voted in the semi-finals and the finals. It was Pards. It was Alan Pardew looking back on some of the greats of tennis with quite quirky pronunciations. Let's enjoy them once more.
And I've seen them all come and go. Agassi, Becker, Borg, Nastase, Federer, Djokovic.
Agassi, Becker.
Dan Maskell would have loved a few of those, wouldn't he?
Federer. So we weren't sure at the time whether it was Gavin and Stacey or whether it was only Fools and Horses. It's got a bit of both, doesn't it? But well done, Pards. You are the winner of the Clip of the Month for July, and thanks for everybody who voted. That is us. Andy, an absolute pleasure. Lovely to see you.
Thank you, Paul. Enjoyed that. Good.
You're back tomorrow morning.
I'm back with Jeff in the morning.
Fantastic. We look forward to that. I'll see you tomorrow. Alex Brooker of Last Leg fame will be with us. There'll be plenty of Tottenham Arsenal bants and lots more besides, I'm sure. Lots of top guests joining us, and we'll keep an eye on everything that's going on in the transfer market as well, I'm sure. Natalie Sawyer and Gabby Agbonlahor, they're up next with Drive. We'll see you tomorrow.